Nearly a schoolboy error. Good morning. Good morning. I was on mute. Of course I was. How are we all doing? It is Monday. We are 12 days into a transfer window. I know it's hard to believe. Tottenham have done absolutely the square root of nothing in this transfer window. Yes, the title of the show, Spurs in complete disarray. Now, this was said, wasn't it, yesterday by Marcus Buckland, and we're going to look into that. Obviously, Marcus Buckland of BT, he's worked for Sky, I think he's worked for ESPN and a few others, said that he's got sources within inside the club that have said that Spurs are in complete disarray. Now, that shouldn't be breaking news. It's not. What? Shock, horror, color me shocked. We're a mess, right? It's an absolute mess. And right now, I feel like we might be caught in this stage of the blind leading the blind. Who is in charge? And is that why we can't make signings? Like, I don't believe that we're not trying. You know, I don't believe that we're not calling up agents. I just don't believe that there's a clear plan. And because of that, we're not seeing anything. Is it the fact that Paratici is trying to make these signings and people are saying, well, hang on, you're leaving, mate. We'll talk about that. Don't worry. You're leaving. Or is it that Lang just can't do his job? I don't know. Vinay, how much is he involved in the transfer? I don't know. Charrington, I would guess, is not involved in any way, shape or form. But we've got a lot of, I've got a lot of things to show you this morning. And look, it's tough. You know, somebody said to me, I'm not going to name names. Somebody said to me this morning, right? And it's so true. It's like, it's almost funny now seeing how many times Spurs fuck it up. And I thought that was quite interesting, right? It's almost funny just seeing how many times we fuck this up. It doesn't matter what manager, what director of football, we're just messing this up. Now, I'll set this off right from the get-go. I think that if Thomas Frank loses to West Ham, his position will become untenable and he will need to leave. But if I'm allowed to, if people will allow me to have the completely separate conversation of that's okay, but who are we trusting to make the decision? What are we looking at? Lang, Paratici, Vinay. Who of these are we saying, yeah, that man is going to go and get the right man to come in and manage this club, and they're going to back them, and we're going to put a plan in place? And this is where I think most of the sensible ones of you have understood what I've said about the whole Frank thing. Some people don't get it. They just, oh, you're dying on, I'm not dying on a hill for Frank. My question is bigger than Frank. My position with Spurs is bigger than Thomas Frank. Thomas Frank is a blip in our history. Thomas Frank, that much time in our history. Yeah, I'm looking at the bigger picture. Where do we go for the next 5, the next 10 years, the next 20 years? And right now, I think lots of people are truly, truly worried. Truly worried. By the way, reports coming out right now that, from the ex-West Ham United employee who gets most things right about West Ham, said that Tottenham were keen on signing Paqueta, but the West Ham midfielder has made it clear he wants to move back to Brazil. Look, all of this stuff going on, and I think that we're all really frustrated. And I think there are different ways of showing that frustration. Some people are like, right, well, what's happening? Where are we moving to? Other people just want to play the point-scoring game. Other people want to play the blame game. Other people are just trolling about it. And it's all fine. But essentially, we're all Spurs fans that are looking and saying, well, what's going on? Like if we strip it all down, right? If we strip this down, what is going on is the big question, right? And for me, it feels like we've been on this collision course for years. And it feels like we're getting to the point, like in a film where like two trains are coming towards each other and somebody saves the day at the last minute. It feels like nobody's stepping in to save the day. And the trains for the last 15 years have been doing this and this and this. And you know what? The train stayed there for a while because Kane and Son papered over a lot. Now we're doing this and this. And it feels like we're there. It feels like we're ready for impact. And if that happens, we are West Ham. If that happens, we are one of these clubs that gets relegated. We're in a real mess on the pitch, off the pitch, personnel from top to bottom. And I see people keep saying things like, just go and sign this player. And I'm like, well, you've got to understand, players aren't idiots. Players will be looking and going, okay, but cool, what's the plan? When I say it, it doesn't mean anything. But you know that players and their agents are going to be asking those questions, aren't they? Look, we're going to talk today about Conor Gallagher. We're going to talk today about Bentancur. We're going to talk about there's talks that Kinski wants to leave. We're going to talk about a lot. We're going to talk about what Marcus Buckland said in terms of Spurs being in complete disarray. And people who are going, oh, he doesn't know anything. I mean, if anyone is looking at this club and thinks we're not in disarray, then they're off. And this is what I keep saying to people. If anyone thinks that the biggest issue is Thomas Frank, he's an issue. But if anyone thinks that's the biggest issue, they're having a laugh. And again, what we're going to do is we're going to put a plaster over something that needs surgery. Right? We're going. Listen, for me, I can't be clear about this. The club needs a reset. In my humble opinion, the club needs a reset from owners right the way through to playing staff, right? And everyone in between. It needs a complete reset. A complete reset. Now, there's a lot to be said for a comment like this, right? Like, we're all sitting here going, we're a mess. What a state. But then we're just going, oh, go and sign Manu Kone. Go and sign Stiller. Go and sign, look, do you not think some of these players might look in and go, hang on, do I really want to go? Like, you know, there's a lot to be said for it. And I'm not saying we shouldn't try for them. We don't know if we have. You know, so having the conversation this morning, when we say just try for a player, I'm guessing, we would have spoken to a number of agents, like Paqueta's agent, for example. We would have spoken to, hey, we want him. Is he interested? He wants to go back to Brazil, so he's not going to stay in London. All right, let's move on. You know, that we don't know what's going on. We don't know how many of those conversations are taking place. I just know that this isn't a big club. Right now, this isn't a big club. Right now. This is a club that's been chipped away at for years. And Lubo's been right? Of course. No, he's not the only one that said it, but Lubo's been right. This club has been chipped away at for years and years and years. And unfortunately, now we are seeing, aren't we? How much did Kane and Son really stop this club from looking the average club they are? They did. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who thinks who's world class. It doesn't matter who likes what manager, director. In the last 10 years, Kane and Son on the main have kept us from being a very average football club. And unfortunately, we're at the stage now where we haven't just gone from Kane and Son to the next level down. We've gone 4 or 5 levels down from Kane and Son. We've gone from Son to Matisse Tell. We've gone from Kane to Richie or Solanke. Like the levels are huge. But the fans' expectations has remained the same. We've gone from Moussa Dembele to players like Bentancur, Sarr, Gray and Bergvall. But the expectations has remained the same. And we had Jose, we had Conte, we had the winners. We had the winners, didn't we? But the club couldn't get it together. The club couldn't quite get it together. And I feel like we might have become a bit of a laughing stock with agents, with players, with chairmen. I don't know. But I don't think this is a quick. I said this in the summer, and I know obviously everyone. It's funny. I was speaking yesterday to Perchy and to Chris CC about this. I said it's funny, isn't it? Like I've been doing YouTube for 5 years, and nearly everything I've said just goes out the window because of Thomas Frank. It doesn't matter what we've talked about for years on this channel. It's all gone out the window because everything just goes back to Thomas Frank. And we've been saying it for years. You know, you look, people like Stell have been saying this for years. How long Stell been getting protests going because of ENIC and the owner? Right? I remember when Stell and I first met, by the way, it wasn't actually on YouTube. It was on Twitter back in the day. And our posts were all about ENIC, Levy out, and listen, he was much more at the forefront than I was in terms of protests and getting people out. I remember sitting there when I was on Twitter back in the day saying, this new stadium is not doing anything. And everyone, like people like me and Stell, we were ostracized. Oh, the most negative football fan. Cool. Well, we're sitting here, 6, 7 years later since we moved into the stadium, and I'm still saying, what's it done? What did we build it for? Because we didn't build it for football. And unfortunately, we've gone from there to here, to here, to here, to here. We're just going backwards. We're going backwards and backwards and backwards. Now I see, let's bring in Oscar Bobb. Why? Again, another player, he's done nothing in his career. Another young player, looks very talented, but another young player will come into the Spurs squad. He's got no one to look up to. There's no leadership. And it's another one where we'll be going, he could become good. I'm not picking on Bob. I like Bob. He's a good footballer, but done nothing. Not going to change the trajectory of this football club. And again, we've just gone so far down. So far down. And I know that the problem I think in life these days is we can only see the one problem in front of us. So we can have the Thomas Frank conversation, and Thomas Frank will be sacked. I keep saying this. People don't want to listen. Thomas Frank will be sacked in due time. But the problem is the bigger picture beyond Thomas Frank is we've been heading this way for decades. We've been heading this way for a very, very long time. And so many put their head in that sand, didn't they? They put their head in that sand. You know, as I said, Stella and I don't agree on everything. But with this, I've had no doubt he's always been right. Always been right about this. Said it for years. Nothing's going to change. The summer for me was a really important opportunity for them to show they've changed. To go in and land some really good footballers. To go out there and, you know, build the squad, build it. Show that we're in 4 competitions. But we didn't. Right? We didn't, did we? We didn't do that. And year on year, we've got weaker and weaker and weaker and weaker and weaker. And we've buried our heads in the sand about it. As I said, after the summer, how many people were saying, oh, what a good window. And I didn't think it was. I didn't think it was a good window. I didn't think it was a window with a plan. It's all right going to get players and saying, that's a good first team player. But with what plan in mind? When other clubs buy players, I see the plan. I get it. I get what they're doing. I don't see it with Spurs. I've never seen it. And I don't know. As I said, I'm calm about this now. I don't know where we go from here. And as I said, so many times, all I have to do all day is talk about Thomas Frank. And it's so draining because Thomas Frank, let's say we lose, let's hypothetical, we lose to West Ham, Thomas Frank is sacked. Brilliant. From Sunday morning, what's changed? Tell me what's changed fundamentally at this football club from Sunday morning. Don't care. He can go. Do you know what? As I said before, and this is me just being completely candid and honest about you, about YouTube, right? When shit like this happens, YouTubers make more money. Like, I'm not going to sit and lie about it. It's sad, right? It's really, really sad. But when Spurs win, my viewing numbers are down here. It's sad. When Spurs lose, you're viewing it's really, it's odd. It's so odd and nothing's different. We like our Sean and I will do a watch along, right? Not together. We do separate watch alongs. We always know when we've won because the numbers are down here. When you lose, the numbers go up. Everyone wants you to be in a bit of a mess. All I want is a stably run football club. That's all I've asked for. But the real question is, when we sack Frank, who's making that decision? And by the way, yes, for anyone saying, yeah, I have just seen, I was going to bring this up anyway, but yes, you can see there that Fabrizio Romano has confirmed that Rodrigo Bentancur is out for 3 months. And the funny thing about this, right? The funny thing about this is I was going to come off this a bit later, and we will, but it was not that. It was this from Matt Law saying, oh, as a result, Spurs are likely to look to add a midfielder in the transfer window. I mean, sorry, as a result, again, we only react, don't we? Again, we only react. Oh, Solanke's injured. Let's get Mawani on loan as a panic buy. And then you got fans pretending, oh, Frank wanted him. But what? What, a panic buy on the last day of the window? Xavi Simons. I like Xavi Simons, but he was only brought in because James Maddison got injured. All right? Now we're talking about, oh, we need a new right winger because Kudus is injured. Well, we knew Brennan Johnson was going, so why wasn't that lined up? You know? It's, I don't know. And if we did want these players, where are they? What was the plan? Where are they? Let's be fair. If we knew we wanted a midfielder, by the way, I see loads of people arguing about what type of midfielder we need. I'll be honest, I think we need every type. Well, I would rip this whole thing up and go again. I really would. We have such small thinking as a fan base, such limited thinking because of the way the owners have run this club has made us think that way. I don't blame anyone for it. We have such limited thinking now. In years gone by, no one would be praising the signings of players like Oda, Bertel, Bergvall and Great. No one would. No one would be praising Solanke at 60 million or whatever he was. Wouldn't have done that. Years gone by, no one would be upset at the idea of selling Brennan Johnson. But we've just been bashed down and down and down and down and down so much that now our hopes and dreams and desires are on the floor. They're on the floor. We've got to a stage where Spurs have two central midfielders fit. And I think that, by the way, a Gray as a central midfielder does absolutely nothing for me. We've got Paulinho fit. It's like playing with one centre mid. At the moment, there's no right winger in the club. As one striker comes back fit, Solanke, the other one gets injured for a while in Richarlison. And now we're just going to have to throw Solanke in, knowing that he needs time to get up to speed. And yeah, and you got fans, yeah, again. But this is what I mean. This is when I say about how far we've been beaten down. Conor Gallagher, right? We'll talk about him more later. Conor Gallagher would join this football club and be the best midfielder at the club. Like, I don't know, but our fans, again, I don't know what they're watching. They think he's better. They think we're better than a Conor Gallagher. Just baffling. So he's good enough for Chelsea captain and Atletico Madrid. Villa want him, not Spurs. Not Spurs. And as I said, we keep doing this, don't we? Oh, I don't want that player. I want this player. We need players. We need a whole squad ball. Not in one window, but we need a whole squad. We need a whole squad here. And everybody, I tell you what, I'm so glad I'm not on X, because the things that I get sent from X are madness. Everyone's a tactician, aren't they? Rather than going, yeah, Conor Gallagher, proven leader, seasoned pro, international midfielder, played for top clubs, never injured, leader, get him in, really good, sensible signing. We all go, oh, but the progressive passes and what are we doing here? When did we all stop watching football with these? When did we stop watching football with these? Everyone's a tactical genius. We need solid professional footballers, athletes. We need solid professional footballers, not athletes. Conor Gallagher is an engine who's done it all. The 6, the 8, the 10. Good in the air, good tackling, scores goals, gets assists, drives forward, gets back. covers ground. But no, we're sitting there and we've got a fan base going, nah. Not all of us, but nah, I wouldn't want him. Oh, progressive passing. If you had, oh, what are we doing? What are we doing? These are the same fans that I see. These tacticos, as Sean calls them. I don't know if it's Sean saying, but these tacticos they're the same people that make videos about Sousa, and they make all these comparisons about, oh, well, I'll tell you what, the one thing that Odeberg gives you is what are we doing? Stop trying to be cleverer about football than we need to be. We need solid professional players that can come in, put in a shift, yeah, and do well. You give you a solid 7 or 8 out of 10 every week. What football used to be. When we used to have people like David Howes, Paul Allen, right in midfield, Steve Sedgley. They weren't the glamorous footballers, but every team needs them. Not us. Not us. Every player that's mentioned, these tacticos find a reason why they're not good enough. Every player that's mentioned. They did it in the summer. I remember seeing Marcus Rashford. Well, if you actually look at Marcus Rashford, he doesn't do... Marcus Rashford's playing for Barcelona. Marcus Rashford's playing for Barcelona. And it's this. Everybody is trying to overcomplicate a simple game. Everyone is trying to overcomplicate a simple game. There are so many, right? There are so many that the problem is there's so much data available, isn't there? There's so much data, videos and all these data and B sites, which it's all good and it's all fine. But it's almost at the stage where we're using all of this data to find every reason why you can't sign anybody. I look at these midfield options right now of Gray, Bergvall, Sarr, Bentancur, Basuma, Paulinho. And then anybody that's going, nah, I wouldn't want Conor Gallagher, get in the bin. Like, this is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. This is the guy that Poch made captain at Chelsea. You know, the same Poch that everyone wants back? He made this guy captain and he had a great season for them, but he wouldn't be good enough for us. And agreed. See, agreed. I think if you had Paulinho, Gallagher, and Xavi Simons in front of them, it starts to look more solid. Both Paulinho and Gallagher are warriors, real men, like McGinn and Kamara would be, or McGinn and Onana for Villa. Real men, solid. Solid. But the question I've got is, would Conor Gallagher even want to join Tottenham when we're like this? Now, there's lots of talk. Let's have a look at this, and I'll do some super chats in a minute. So we saw this, right? So this went around exclusive that Tottenham want to sign former Chelsea star Conor Gallagher, and have stepped up their interest after Villa made their move to sign the midfielder in a permanent deal. Then it came over that Tom Barkley said this morning, understand Aston Villa are in for Conor Gallagher with a possible loan obligation move from Atletico. Believe Spurs at this point are not yet in for the England man. I mean, and that begs the question, well, why not? Why not? Why are we not in? Now, again, it could have been that we've spoken to his agent and his agent's gone, nah. It could be that his agent's gone, nah. He wants to go to Villa. Now, the argument's going to be there, isn't it? Look, he's a London, like I saw Lubo say this last night, it was spot on. He's a London lad. Does he want to come back to London? Let's be fair. He's going to start every single game for Tottenham. He is. He's going to start. Let's be fair. If anyone out there doesn't think Conor Gallagher starts week in, week out for Tottenham, they're having a mare. So we can offer full minutes. Aston Villa have already got McGinn, Onana, Kamara, Tielemans. It's a lot. So I don't know. But then again, you look and you go, right, Tottenham are there. Aston Villa are there. They're a mess. They're absolutely not a mess. Look, I don't know. I don't know. Right? Listen, as a football fan, I would love to think that we phoned Conor Gallagher and tried. I would love to think that, again, sensible signings. As I said, we've all got to stop trying to be experts on every football footballer. Sensible signings. Go down the route of what Aston Villa did. It is not rocket science. It is not rocket science, because all these people, right? Think about this for a second. All these people, to continue the Conor Gallagher theme, that are sitting there going, wouldn't want Conor Gallagher. He's not right for us. He's not what we need. Oh, wow. What an Archie Gray is, Bergvall is, Sarr is, Bentancur is, right? All these people saying this about Conor Gallagher. If he goes to Aston Villa get Champions League football, we're all going to sit there and go, oh, Villa buy so well, don't they? Villa do so well. Yes, because they make sensible signings. Remember, all of our fan base, when Yuri Tillemans was on a free, didn't want Yuri Tillemans. Didn't want Yuri Tillemans. I remember we were linked with Onana, saying, good, big, strong, powerful lad, aggressive, Premier League experience. No, don't want him. He's not good enough. Do you know what I mean? John McGinn, no, he wouldn't get in our team. We wouldn't want him. But yet we all look and go, well, hang on, how have they done so well? And the reason I always use Villa, you know I do. The reason I use them is because it's not oil money. This isn't a club that can just go and pluck the best players from the biggest clubs in the world. So why can't we ever be sensible and do that? But when a young player is mentioned who's done absolutely nothing in football, we all go, oh, this boy, because everyone wants to be a tactical expert. Oh, I watched this boy play once for this team in Slovakia, and yeah, he's honestly, what he'll give this team, sensible, solid signings. That's all I'm asking for. I'm not asking Spurs to be Liverpool or City. I'm not asking for that. Sensible, solid signings with a plan. You go and bring in João Gomez and Gallagher, for example. For the rest of the season, you could have João Gomez, Gallagher and Paulinho, right? Your DM, your box-to-box and your number 8 ball-playing midfielder. Let Xavi Simons drift off the left. Do you know what I mean? Like Solanke up. Suddenly, I'm just spitballing here, so bear with me. Suddenly, it looks so much better. But everybody wants to praise the players that have done nothing, and write off the players that are being snapped up by better clubs. Sensible signings. We turned our noses. I know we don't make the signings, but I'm so confused with our fan base. We turned our noses up in the summer, didn't we? Rashford, we turned our noses up at, playing for Barcelona. Grealish, we turned our noses up at. He's a drunk. What? Because everyone's seen him celebrate, getting pissed after winning the treble. Sensible. No. Again, see, Matt, I'm not, again, it's stupid stuff like this. This is why when you said the other day, I'm not blaming the fans, but I'm saying every window we do the same thing. We all sit here, don't we, and go, he ain't good enough, he ain't good enough, he ain't good enough, he ain't good enough. But then when the club buy lesser players, everyone backs them. Yeah, he's good, he'll come good in a few years. I'm not blaming the fans. I just don't understand how we're not on the same page as to what's needed at this club. Stability, sensible signings. It doesn't always have to be this great, amazing, super talented 19-year-old that somebody's seen a video of. This is not rocket science. This is not rocket science. Newcastle have done it. In the last 3-4 years, they've done that. Villa have done it. They've done that. This is not rocket science. As I said, when this new manager comes in, whether it's this weekend, the next month, when this next manager comes in, we're going to be doing all of this again. And the same issues are going to apply to Tottenham Hotspur. You've now got Rodrigo Bentancur out, haven't we? Look, we've now got Rodrigo Bentancur out for 3 months. That leaves us with, well, Bergvall's out injured, right? This leaves us with Gray, Sarr, Basuma, and Paulinho. So one player who's on loan. Gray, who I watching him is hard work. Sarr just runs around, and he just runs around a lot. And Basuma, who, depending which Basuma you get on any given day, you either get a very good, solid midfielder, or you get the guy that just isn't there in the right headspace. But Spurs would have known that Basuma's going at some point. So where's the next guy coming in? Where's the next guy ready to go in this window? We would have known Brennan Johnson was going. We were told that Brennan Johnson had signed for Palace before the window even opened. So where was the next guy on the rank? Where was it? And this, again, it all boils down to one thing. Doesn't matter. The name above that manager's door can be whatever you want it to be right now. That could be Jose Mourinho, one of the greatest managers of all time. Why don't we try that? Oh, we did try that. It doesn't matter if there's no plan up here. It doesn't matter if there's no plan up here. For the short term, everything's great. You have the new manager bounce. Short term is great. But then we're still looking back in 6 months going, right, all right, so what's the plan? What's the plan? We all wanted Levy out. But for me, Levy and ENIC had to be a package deal. And I remember the day it happened, I remember everyone was losing their minds. I said, listen, we're going to see if it means anything. I'm glad he's gone, but we're going to see if it means anything. Because right now we're seeing that ENIC are a mess. We're seeing that ENIC are a mess. And something somebody sent to me this morning I thought was quite interesting. Look, these are the people that run Tottenham Hotspur. Look, a banker, 2 accountants, an investment banker, and an aviation executive. What are we doing? Tottenham Hotspur Airlines? Where's the football man? And then below that, you've got Lang and Paratici. So when people are expecting these great transfer windows, when people are expecting that a new manager comes in and is a mate, look what we've got running the club. Look what we've got running the club. Where's the football guy? You know, let me just for example, where's a Harry Redknapp at the top of the tree? Where's a Harry Redknapp? Been there, seen it, done it for 50, 60 years. Where's that guy? Where is that guy? Where's a Ralph Rangnick? Here's the keys to our castle. Go and build. I'll ask you all a question. If I said to you right now, Spurs are going to do the following, right? Tell me if you'd be happy. If Spurs said they were going to do the following. Now, get all hypothetical. Would you be happy? So for anyone asking in the chat, aviation is the terminology for aeroplanes and flights and travel. I've probably not summed it up very well. Really haven't. But aviation is flying, essentially. I'll ask you this. So tell me if you would take this. If Tottenham came out tomorrow and said, right, we've had a clean sweep. Frank and his staff have gone. Paratici and Lang have gone. And from the summer, we have got Ralph Rangnick coming in as sporting director. Nagelsmann is coming in as his manager. And we want these guys to build the football club for the next 5 years. It's going to be painful. There's going to be a lot of time where we need some outs and ins, but these guys over the next 5 years are going to completely evolve Tottenham and change everything. What would you say? Because as a fan, I would say, fine. Now I know this is going to be messy, right? This is going to be messy. There's going to be ups and downs. You're going to lose a lot of games of football. Some of the football might not be great. Some players will kick off at the beginning. Other players won't. But there's a plan, right? If there's that plan, I'm more than happy with it. Now, that's again, I've said this before, and I know people don't, naively, I thought they were going to implement that in the summer with Frank and his staff and back him, but they didn't. They didn't. So if they turn around and said that's what we're going to do, Spurs fans, and I know we hate this word, but Spurs fans, be patient. This is what we're doing over the next 5 years. These are the two men that are going to do it. Rangnick is now in charge of all football operations because he's a brilliant director of football. He's a brilliant director of football. This is the guy. This is the guy that's going to oversee everything. This is the manager who he's worked with before, so they know each other. We're going to do that. Now, I think if they did that, you get some buy-in, wouldn't you? Then you go, right, okay, this isn't a quick fix. I think too many people think this is a quick fix. And we've watched our club go boom, 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 boom. And now we're seeing that it's hit the collision course and it's all blown up in our faces. Everyone's going, oh, everything's terrible. Yeah. Yeah. Everything is terrible. Everything is terrible. So if they could do that. Now, right now, I can't see anybody at the top who can grab that ball by the horns and make that decision. Right? I can't see anyone who can make that decision. And it needs somebody to make that decision. And if Vinay is not capable of making that decision, there's lots of rumors that he's very comfortable as being a number 2, but not as the number 1. If Vinay can't make that decision, then he's got to be moved on. Now, who's making that decision? So again, this is what I always say. We keep talking surface level of Frank. We keep talking about Frank. I'm talking about Lang, Paratici, Vinay, Charrington, the Lewis kids. The levels are there. So what we will do, we know we're going to do this because we've done it so many years before. We're going to remove that level. We're going to remove the bottom level. Get out. See you later. Fair enough? Frank, see you later. Boom. Get out our football club. Get out. And then what we're going to do is we're going to remove that level and we're going to leave these 5 levels here. Right? We're going to leave those 5 levels there. And then we're going to go, oh, God, yes. Frank's gone. Woohoo! Yes. Go on, Spurs. And whether it's a month, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, we're going to be back in exactly the same position because the same people are running this football club, because the same people wouldn't have implemented a plan. So when people say to me, why aren't you Frank out? That's why. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. He will go. I've said this a million times. I think he will get sacked if we don't beat West Ham. But this is the point. And it doesn't matter how much you try and speak to people about these levels at a football club. You've got too many people that just go, Frank out, you were wrong about the manager. I don't give a shit about that. Oh, no. Oh, no, I wanted the manager. It might not have worked out. Oh, no. How am I going to go on my day-to-day life? So I think more and more people, though, I think are coming around to understanding that this all needs to change. This can change. The manager can change, but this all needs to change. This all needs to change. Now, we can go and buy Gallagher right now. We can go and buy another player, and it will be nice, new players. But fundamentally, I don't see that there's a plan. So everything we seem to do seems to be papering over cracks. And by the way, I don't even think it's a crack right now. It feels like a chasm. It doesn't even feel like a crack. So, but where do we go from here? I genuinely don't know. Has anybody at the top got the football know-how to turn around and go, yeah, this needs to change? And by the way, by this needing to change, this is years, by the way. I really hope people have got their big boy and big girl pants, because strap in. If any change is made, this isn't over one transfer window. And this is, I think lots of people got confused in the summer. that everything is going to go like that. This is going to be years. And that's why I came to the realization in the summer, this is going to be years, which is why I'm not losing my mind every time Spurs have a 0.01 XG. I'm not losing my mind every time we don't win a game, because we're not a good team anymore. We're not a well-run club anymore. We don't have football people in charge anymore. And we're seeing that, surely. We're 12 days into a transfer window where this squad has been decimated and nothing's happening. Nothing's happening. And we know that the youngster today, the youngster today is going to fly over for his medical. Again, what are we doing, you know? Who's the football person? Who's the... And yes, people asking, I am going to the protest on Saturday. Yes. I've had enough. I've had enough. I've had enough. Whether it does anything, I don't know. They turned down... they turned down potential owners, a potential sale in the summer twice. They turned down 2 suitable parties. I don't know if it'll do anything, but I think that as many people need to get out there as possible now. Now, listen, look, I've always been someone who said it. I don't think it'll work, but I mean, I think Spurs are at rock bottom. I think Spurs are at rock bottom right now. And I've said this before really publicly. If it wasn't for YouTube, I think I would have lost all interest in this football club, sadly. Because there are those that look at the bigger picture and there are those that look at the small picture. And it's all, I think, you know, so for example, I think the power of YouTube, the power of social media, more people should be coming together for what is the big issue at this club. But instead, what I'm seeing is just post after post after post about Thomas Frank. And that's fine. Everyone can say what they want. But right now, again, it's just going to be taking one plaster off, putting another plaster on. And he will go. I'll keep saying this for those at the back. He will go. I don't think he can survive many more bad results. Maybe he gets a win against West Ham and Burnley, and suddenly we skyrocket up the table. But we are heading towards, this is 2 years in a row now where we're very low down. This is 2 years in a row where we're very low down. Starting to not become the anomaly. It's now starting to become the norm, isn't it? That's the worry. Now, Rain was on it yesterday talking about the mean and the average. And this is the problem. We're starting to become this. This now isn't a blip. The last few years of results and performances have shown us this isn't a blip. This is what we are. And we'll argue about who's the right director of football, who's the right manager, who's the right player. But whatever it is, whoever it is, running this football club needs to get a handle on this very, very quickly. Because right now, they don't seem to have. They don't seem to have. Of course, my troll Matt has come in straight away. Can't get to grips with the conversation that we're having, of course. Of course we can't. The man that famously said managers need 3 to 5 years is now going back on every word he said. You've got to love him. So there is so much issue across this football club. Like it's just... It worries me that more can't see it. It worries me that more haven't seen it going that way. It worries me. It worries me. This is one of the worst squads I've seen in our Premier League era. And that's been built over 5, 6, 7 years. This is years and years of damage. Years and years of poor scouting, years and years of no leadership at the top, real, true football leadership. But sure, we can spend our time talking about the micro problems. Cool. That's what we do. We're YouTubers. We're football fans. But the bigger issue now, I'm seeing more and more people wake up to it. More and more and more. And the reason, good day to you, Richard, that this club's planning is shocking. Yeah, but again, the key word in that sentence is planning. There is no planning. There was no planning in the summer. Our transfer window, no planning. No plan. I saw that in the summer. I said this in the summer. There wasn't a plan. When you're signing Mawani on transfer deadline day as a panic, that's not a plan, is it? That's a panic. When your best signing of the summer is a loan, that's panic, isn't it? There's no plan. There's no long-term strategic thinking there. It's panic. And again, this goes past the players, past the manager. This goes to the top. They have to implement this from the top down. They have to implement it. It's almost like everyone can see what the real issues are, but it's easier for us to argue the minor issues. And I get that. It's low-hanging fruit, right? It's low-hanging fruit. We can all see. We can all see what's needed, but nothing changes. We can all see. We can all see what's needed, but nothing changes. And the question you have to ask yourself is this: who's the football man running Arsenal? Who's the football man running Liverpool? Who's the football man running Man City? Who's running those clubs? Why have they been so successful? Who's running those clubs? What was it? For years at Man City, was it Tiggy Beckenstein, or however you say his name? Now it's Costa, isn't it? Football men. Real football men. Real football men. With a plan. And I don't mean a plan for I don't mean a plan for one season. There's too many fans that worry about a season. Let's look bigger than that. Let's look beyond that. When you look beyond that, what are Spurs in 5 years from now with the way we're going? Who are we buying for? Ask yourself, who was Yang bought in mind for? Valise, Odegaard. We bring these people in, but with no, do they slot into a system? Do they actually have a set position? I don't know what Tell is. Is Tell a striker? Is he a left winger? Is Odegaard a right winger or a left winger? I don't know what these players are. What is Gray? Is he a 6? Is he an 8? What's Bergvall? Is he a 10? Is he an 8? But again, it's not knocking the individual players, but what were they bought in mind for? And when you see Arsenal, it's taken them a long time to get to this stage, but they've built with places in mind. We know, don't we? We know who their 2 left wing options are, who their 2 attacking midfielders are, who their right wingers are. We know. We know with those clubs what they are. We know at Man City who's been bought for what position and for what style. But what have Spurs bought? And this is why when people say to me, we got 4 first team start, but for what? For what setup? All very different, like for what setup? And you know why? Because we've never built a setup. And the one time we did have a setup with Poch, we didn't build. It's like it's so backwards at this football club. We've got fans will praise someone like Destiny Udogie, for example. What's he done? What's he done to get the praise? Top clubs would... Why? Why would top clubs want him? And it's funny because depending on the YouTuber that people like, depends on how people react to that person. But let me ask you, there's nearly 800 of you in here. How many of you can actually say anything I've said today is wrong about the way this football club has run? Because I'm not sitting here just shouting Frank out, Frank out, Frank. People don't listen. But I'm talking, this show is about the bigger picture. This show is about up there, the bigger picture. We can sack who we want down here. Players go, managers come and go. None of that matters. None of that matters, right? None of that matters. Players come and go all the time. Managers come and go all the time. But these guys at the top should be there consistently over time, steering a ship so that when a manager comes and the next one comes and the next one goes, that we're in alignment. We're in alignment. But we're all so busy talking about the micro. We're all so busy talking about the micro. No, I'm not at all. I've not said one thing that's wrong. Name me 3 things I've just said that's wrong. Name me 3 things. I've not said anything there that's wrong about this football club. And again, I can tell the people that have watched this football club for decades versus kids that haven't. This has been coming for 20 years. I was Enoch and Levy out since 2007. That kid there was probably in nappies, right? 2007. I've not said anything there about this football club that isn't wrong. The owners are a mess. The directors of football, there's no plan, right? It's a mess. At the top, it's a mess. And so if anyone can tell me what I've said that's actually wrong there, what? And again, it is. But it isn't rocket science. Unfortunately, for people like Matt, it is. It is rocket science because these people don't have the emotional intelligence to understand. They don't have they don't have the understanding of how does a football club work from there down to there. What they see, unfortunately, because they're kids that play computer games, it starts with the manager and just the players. Now, what I've done here is remove the manager and players, and I'm looking at the bigger picture, but people can't quite get on with it. It's not 2017, mate. Way before 2017. Let this sink in. This was still a mess under Poch. Poch managed to put together a good 11, but everything I've been saying here, there was no support for Poch. There was no plan. There was no structure to move the club forward. There was no structure to grow. There was no plan in place. Again, Matt, can I tell you all how you know this guy's an idiot, right? Who's been talking about the manager and the players? Again, can't use his ears. Listen, I'm talking about bigger. You're not listening. And no top teams would want about 6 or 7 of our players. Mate, you're a troll. Just go away. You're a horrible little troll. Go away. Horrible bloke. Again, we're not talking about... I'll say it for those at the back, because obviously people like... All 800 of you have just witnessed now that Matt can't use his ears. You've all seen that. Remove the manager and the players. Those will come and go yearly. These people come and go yearly. It doesn't matter. Frank can go. These players can go. They will come and go yearly. These people at the top should not be coming and going yearly. They should not be coming and going yearly. These should be set. Right. We're the owners. We've implemented this football man to run things. This football man's going to bring in scouts, directors of football below him if that's what he wants to do, or he could be the director of football. This is what we're going to do as a football club moving forward with a plan and philosophy. All of this at the bottom doesn't matter. Again, sorry, just lies. Just lies. Just lies. Just lies. None of this matters. We talk about Romero. Romero will go at some point. He'll be a player that was here for a little bit of time. He moves on. After that person, what's the plan? And I don't get it. It's always the same people, isn't it? Like the Sams, like the Matts. They can't have a high-level discussion. I really hope that these people in their day jobs never have to go in and have an actual conversation with a director or a CEO about big picture. They don't get it. So many, all the tacticos on Twitter, they don't get it. As I said, this manager will have to go if we don't beat West Ham. Fine, I'm comfortable with that. Now we're asking who to pick the next manager. And the cycle starts again. Who? Let me ask you all in the chat right now. Let me ask you all in the chat right now. Hypothetical, Spurs sack Frank on Saturday. Who is the man in this club that's hiring the new manager? In your opinion, who is that man? Is it Lang? But again, Sam, you come here and you're rude. Notice how no one else is being rude. So you're just going to get blocked again, mate. Stop being rude. I'll put you in a timeout. Come back. Stop being rude. Talk football like the other 800 people in here. Who is that man for you lot? Is it Vinay? Does Vinay pick the next manager? Does Lang? Does Paratici? Who is that guy? And do you trust him? Like, and I don't know. And this is the point. Because what we're going to do again, we will sack this manager, bring in another manager, but again, where there's been absolutely no plan implemented at the top. So again, the manager comes in and we're all going to be sitting here going, what direction are we going in? But people go, oh, it doesn't matter because he'll play a little bit nicer football. Fine. That's fine. That's fine. And where do we go from that? So in 6 months, in a year, what do we do? In 6 months to a year, when this player's left and that player's left, and we're all sitting here again going, okay, we're bottom half or whatever it is. Are we all going to sit and go, right, well, this guy's got to go? Or are we finally going to get to the stage where we go, right, draw a line under everything. Draw a line under everything at this football club. Where are we going from here? And I've tried to have that conversation. I've tried to have the grown-up conversation, the grown-up chat, rather than so many panel shows. I just flick onto them and it's hours and hours of just Frank out, Frank out, Frank out. Fine. That's great. When are we going to talk about the problems? When are we going to talk about the problems? So who is it? Vinay? Vinay's going to be the guy? Is he to go, right, sorry, Thomas, it's not working. See you later, mate. Okay, see you later. Right, Sunday morning. Let's start the manager search. Who's got a little black book of contacts to call for a manager search? Vinay? Paratici? Lang? Charrington? Who is that guy that we are entrusting this to? Who is the guy we're entrusting that to? Now, I know people don't want to have more than one conversation at a time because it's beyond them, but Frank to the side. Moving forward, who is it? Who's picking them? And everyone picks their favourite manager. Oh, I want DISARRAY. Cool. You don't think DISARRAY will blow this club up from the inside out within about 3 months of working under this lot? Oh, I want Poch. Okay, brilliant. What, you want Poch working under Lang? Oh, I want Iriola. All right, based off what? What do we want Iriola based off? He's only managed Bournemouth, and that was the problem I was told, where Frank's only managed Brentford. So, like, who is it that we want? Who is it that they're going to attract? What are they going to sell to them? What are they going to sell to them? Hey, we'd really love you to come and join our club. Brilliant. What are you going to give me? Well, we're going to buy more 19-year-olds. I don't want to buy 19-year-olds. I want this level of player. Oh, no, not our model. Okay, I will join your club if you give me a proper director of football. Oh, no, we've got Lang in charge. I just don't know. I don't know how the roundabout stops. I don't know how the merry-go-round stops, because we're all so busy arguing as fans about tiny little things. Oh, I said this, and I said this, and I said this, and you said this. It doesn't matter. None of it matters. None of it matters. People say things like, you hounded out a man. No manager gets hounded out. The owners make the decision. They don't listen to YouTubers. They don't listen to you lot. They don't listen to me. No manager is hounded out. Managers will go if their performances aren't working. That's just life. Frank will go if he doesn't get wins in the next few weeks. We know that. There's no problem with that. But we're all so stuck on the need to be right that we don't actually want the club to improve. Look at a club like Newcastle. They got in a good, solid football man with Eddie Howe, and good, solid football people above him. And they've gone from strength to strength. They're now challenging for Champions League again. They've won a trophy. They're decent in the transfer market. And again, they've put together a squad without any massive sight. There's no one in there where you go, he's amazing. He's amazing. There's no one. There's no one. But again, they've just turned it around. The new owners came in. And they actually let Eddie Howe work. They let Eddie Howe work over a number of years with people above him who gave him what he needed, right? And Newcastle, yeah, they've had a few little ups and downs. But in the main, look at them. They're always there or thereabouts, aren't they, for that top four? They've got good, solid footballers. And then you look across the road, not literally across the road. Then you look across the road from Newcastle to London, and you look at us and go, we need this money. How you doing, sir? You look...
I'm good, man. I'm good. You seem very happy.
do you know what it is, mate? I've got to the stage where listen, I've wanted these owners and that out since 2007. And
yeah,
there are people that have known that this club is been on a collision course for decades. And it feels to me like we're nearing that, like in a Hollywood movie, right? Where there's like there's a timer counting down that if they don't get to the timer in time, the whole world's going to blow up. Like in like Armageddon or something. I feel like we're there, and that clock is just slowly ticking down to the last couple of hours, right? And you're like, who's going to save the world? And then Bruce Willis comes in and mate, I feel like we're there, and I keep trying to talk about the bigger issue because I feel like the Frank conversation's done to death. He's going to go if we don't beat West Ham. I'm comfortable with that. How much of a mess are we from top to bottom, I guess is the question.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's the main issue, right? Because as you said, it's like I know where I stand, right? Just from a micro and macro level. From a micro level, I personally don't think this manager is the guy, purely because I think it's not even about anything else other than his mentality approaching games, right? And we've spoken about this to death. I feel like he's so worried about the opposition that sometimes he makes it difficult for me to buy into something. And bearing in mind, I want to buy into him. I told I think I went on Sean's show and I said to him, Sean, listen, the best thing for Spurs is for this guy to actually work. So for Frank to actually work would be the best thing for Spurs. That's on a micro level. But on a macro level is exactly where you're at and what you are talking about, and which is spot on, is the fact that and I go back to 2019 because that's the Poch era, 17 to 19, 16 to 19, because those were the times where the last few times we really enjoyed watching Spurs. These people failed that manager. We had an incredible 11. We didn't have an incredible squad. They have gone on and failed every single manager after. And that is the reason why yourself, myself, we're going to the protest this Saturday, because you will sack Frank, and this is where I fully agree with you. You will sack Frank, bring in someone else, and it will paper over.
We start again
because we'll start again. We will start again, and we will still have a squad that needs revamp, a squad that needs vision, a squad. And that is the reality of it. I think people need to understand that there are some people who, look back and say, I get people want Frank out, but my main issues is the owners. And there are people that have issues with Frank, but also have issues with the owners. And we have to all agree and come to that resolution that actually these owners keep promising and delivering nothing. They keep promising and delivering nothing. I can't remember who it was that I was speaking to, and I said this too. Am I still on here? Yeah, I'm still on. And I was saying, how crazy is it that you guys have brought in Frank, right? He's got so many injuries, and it's the 12th of January, and you've not brought anyone in to help this guy to try and salvage something. How crazy is that? This is your man. Whether I like it, I don't like it, whether someone likes it, doesn't like it, you've sold, and whether Frank played him or not does not matter. You have sold Brennan Johnson, who was the top scorer from last season, without a plan of bringing someone in. That is negligent. That is negligent.
Manny, just quickly, but Manny, and this is the point. I think we spend so much time trying to point score, right, with each other, that you're right. Whether you like him, I like him, somebody doesn't, this is the man they bought in. You've got to back him. And if you aren't going to back him, so I said the other day in a video, if you're not going to back him, you've got to sack him. And look, Manny, I don't know how old you are, right? But I've got so many years.
30s.
Okay. I've got so many years under me of seeing different managers come and go that I genuinely don't care. Like, I know so many people get really attached to a person. Like, I found it really weird, the number of people that were so attached to Ange, like that he was their dad or something. I don't care. I don't care when Thomas Frank goes. I don't care that Christian Romero is our captain. If he leaves, right? I'm that sort of person.
Yep.
All I want to know is, if this guy is not the guy, that's fine, and you can sack him. But we lose. I've said I think if we lose to West Ham, he's got to go. Right? More for his sake than anything else. But now, Manny, right, he looks like he's aged about 20 years.
He does. Like every single bloody manager.
But now we're in the position again. And as I said, if we can decompartmentalize the conversation, Frank's gone. We put him in that box over there. Frank's gone. It's Saturday night. Spurs, breaking news. Thomas Frank's gone. Yay. All the fan base are really happy. Then we wake up Sunday morning and we go, right, who's now picking this next manager? Is it Vinay? Is it Lang? Is it Paratici? These are the people that no one rates. Everyone wants at the club. But these are the same people that we are entrusting to go and get the next manager that we know they're not going to back and they're not going to implement a plan for. So this is a really weird world for me. It's not about, oh my God, keep Frank because I think he's like Pep Guardiola. But the question is, are we literally just going to go, right, let's rip that plaster off for Frank. Let's put this plaster on with this new guy over here under the same ownership, the same model, the same strategy, which is next to nothing. And then in 6 months, we're going to be going, oh, they've not backed this manager.
Yeah. And I think the issue you've stated as well is quite worrying, right? Because we now have a situation where Paratici is leaving, right? At the end of January. Why he's leaving at the end of January, I have zero clue, because normally people high up, even in my company, if they hand in their notice, they're on gardening leave for the next 6 months. So I have absolutely no clue why Paratici is still here till the end of the season, till the end of the transfer window. What he's helping with, I'm not entirely sure. But then I have another issue, which is once he leaves, there is Johan Lang in charge, which is, I don't know whether even that is better or worse than having Paratici here until the end of January. And that is where the issue lies. We are a club that should not be in the position we're in right now. I know people keep saying it's money at the wheel. I know people keep saying our trajectory is downwards, but the trajectory is downwards because of these owners. That's why our trajectory is downwards. I keep saying to people, our revenue, the revenue that we as a club are generating year in, year out, should allow us to be ambitious. And I don't want to hear anybody talk about the fact that we are repaying a debt, because that debt has been locked in at 2%. It was pre-COVID, right? So there is no reason why these ownerships should not be trying to show a little bit of ambition. And by the way, when we say ambition, I know you, Savva, right? In the past few months that I've known you, right? I know you're there and you're like, guys, I'm not expecting you to spend 2 billion straight away
Mm.
and then for us to win the league, because we understand how this works. All we want is some strategy in the players that we bring in terms of the quality, but also for us to consistently bring in and action that strategy in order to have a team that can actually compete. That's all we're asking for. We're not asking for a team that can just trash every single team in the league every single year. We're not asking for that. We just need a little bit of vision.
But
That's the reason
that's
why
it,
people are
right?
so frustrated.
That's it. I think too many people think that we can go from 0 to 100 overnight. I think too many people think that we can go from finishing 17th to, God, we should be challenging top 4. I don't expect that money. I
Yeah.
want calm, sensible signings. That's all I want Spurs to do. Now, in the summer, the reason why I said I didn't think it was a good window is it's not because of the individual players, so to speak, but just that it all felt like it wasn't done with an actual plan again. So, for example, if you really wanted Paulinho, why was that only a loan? Like, if this is the guy you really, I love Paulinho, by the way, Manny. It's not anything
Yep.
to do with Paulinho as the man. If Paulinho was the guy you want, and you want to build around him for the next 2 to 3 years, this is our DM. We can fit in everyone else around that. Go and make it happen. But Spurs went for a loan, and you're thinking to yourself, okay, cool, you've done that. It means, you know, you've kicked the can down the road. You've got more money now. You've got more money. What can we do?
Yeah.
Paulinho, we can push that and pay him later. And then Mawani comes in on a loan as a panic. Xavi Simons came in because Maddison got injured. The only one for me that was actually bought with any real strategy and plan in mind was Kudus, right? And that's why when I was saying, for me, I didn't think like the 4 first-team players everyone goes on about we signed. Listen, I like Xavi Simons. I think there's a lot there to like. I think that we keep seeing glimpses. We keep seeing flashes.
Yeah.
But again, he was like 4th choice, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it goes to show that there's no plan. And all I ask is for sensible signings. And again, I use Newcastle as a barometer. Newcastle went in a couple of years back, didn't they? And went, right, we're going to get Livramento. Just a solid signing. Not glamorous. Not the big name that everyone... We're going to go and get Lewis Hall. Not glamorous. Look how well Lewis Hall and Livramento have done for Newcastle. You don't ever hear anything about them having nightmares, giving away mistakes. There's no excuses about wrong position, wrong foot, wrong... They just get in, do their job, and crack on, right?
Yep.
Spurs don't do that. Spurs seem to... Sorry, go on.
Let me even up you a few bits, and bearing in mind that this is coming from me, who at the time was thinking, oh, you know what, this window has been okay, right? With Kudus was an opportunistic buy. I have no issues with opportunistic buys, but you can see that the quality of player that we got in was purely because West Ham were in real need of cash. My issue with that transfer window, obviously in hindsight, I'm being Mr. Hindsight here, is the fact that we've now ended up not having the midfielders, a high volume passer within the midfield. And you then understand, and this is why, you know, I go like in on Frank a lot of times when I'm thinking like, dude, I really want to see a bit more with regards to X, Y, Z. Sure. However, the bit where I do understand his frustration is that really and truly he wanted Morgan Gibbs-White. The reason why he wanted Morgan Gibbs-White, obviously, again, I am just being Mr. Hindsight here, is the robust nature of his play. And the fact that not only can he play a 10, but if you deploy him as an 8, he will give you that volume passes.
Yes.
Now, as a club, knowing that, and this is where, you know, I get a bit frustrated and annoyed, is they knew this, and instead of acting as a noble club like everyone would do, which is go to the parent club, ask them, they're all just ask the the parent club, what do you want from him?
Yeah.
And then negotiate. They tried to be cheeky. They got some information from his agent, decided to put in a bid that they thought would hit the release clause and get him on a cheap. And that is sly for someone that you recognize was really needed by this manager.
Yeah.
And that is where, because a big club, Savva, would have gone to Forest, would have negotiated with Forest. We probably would have got him for 70, 75 million, right? And then would have had the chance of that opportunistic buy and bought Xavi on top of it.
Right.
That is the difference.
The point, Manny.
That is the
Do you
difference.
know what you've said there about Morgan Gibbs-White? Think how different it could have been, right? If you look at it on the out, this is easy for me to say in hindsight, but if you look at it when removed, it looks like what Frank wanted was a midfield of Paulinho in the DM, Morgan Gibbs-White as the 8, and James Maddison as the 10.
Yeah.
Now, I'll ask you this question. If Spurs had Paulinho, Morgan Gibbs-White, and Maddison, Kudus on the right, how much stronger is that now looking with Gibbs-White and Maddison, right? Now, he probably wanted the left winger to be replaced, in Son to be replaced as well. And this is what I mean. I get why people are frustrated with him, Manny. I do. I completely get it. And everyone, all this dying on a hill. It's not dying on a hill. All I would like to see is, I would like to see this manager with his own players. That's all I would like to see. Not a couple of loan signings. I would like to see him with, right, here's my 5, 6, 7 first team players I've got for the future. This is what I'm going to build. And if that was Morgan Gibbs-White or Morgan Rogers or brilliant, then if we had seen with Paulinho, Gibbs-White and Maddison that we weren't passing forward, which I think would be impossible with Gibbs-White and Maddison in the team. But if we were then seeing poor football with those guys, I'd go, yeah. But when I'm looking at the caliber of players we have, and yeah, people can say can be more adventurous, but I think the problem we're seeing is when we are going more adventurous, we're actually opening up and conceding more goals. When he went less adventurous, I get that it wasn't great on the eye, Manny. I get it. I'm not defending it. But when he went less adventurous at the beginning of the season with Bentancur and Paulinho sitting in front of the back four, we weren't conceding goals and we had a really good shape. But that was at the detriment of going forward. Now, when in the games where we try and press forward, so for example, when we pressed forward against Villa in the second half, we just left massive gaps that Villa just kept constantly counter-attacking on us and really should have put us to the sword. And I think if you get the balance right, if you had got your Morgan Gibbs-White, right, if you had got your left winger that he wanted, whether it was Savio or Fofana or Lookman, I think you then start seeing a little bit of a different identity. But we didn't have that. And we went from here's the vision to here's the reality of what we've actually gone with. So this isn't about dying on a hill for Thomas Frank. But I'd at least like to see any manager at this football club have a couple of windows with their own players before I'm going to go, you've not worked.
Yeah.
I'm also old enough, Manny. I know it doesn't work like that. I get it.
No, of course. No, but that's the point. I sympathize with that view. I fully understand that view, which is why I am shocked. And if people watch my last video, I was literally fuming over the ownership because I was like, hold on a second. But the fact that I might not like this manager's thinking or philosophy is not an excuse for you guys who brought him in to not give him the players in January to allow him to try and turn it around. And I think those are the two conflicting issues, because I personally have an issue with the fact that he came in, and I actually thought, and we at the start when he came in, me and you did a lot of shows, right? And people can go back and listen to what I said. I literally said, no, I can see what he's trying to do here, because I felt like he was pressing high. He had, as you said, the double pivot of Paulinho and Bentancur. He was pressing high and he was beating teams with his press. At some point after that, mauling against Bournemouth, where we lost 1-0, but we should have probably lost by a lot more. I feel like that is where he he changed his approach, and that has been my biggest issue. But I can definitely understand when people are saying, hold on a second, you've brought this guy in, why are you not giving him the players to try and see and show others that actually maybe he can succeed? Or, as you said, maybe show others, you know what, I was backing him, but I can see that he can't succeed now that he's got further players. And I think that is where that is the issue that we are currently having, which is why, from a macro level, I don't think there is anyone that will disagree that whether it's the Lewis family that you want to call them, whether it's Levy, whether it's Enoch, there's been a fundamental issue with the way that ownership have tried to show ambition, because it's been non-existent. I actually, if I look at this last summer, I commend them, right? Savva, I commend them that they seem to have changed their approach from going for youngsters, right, to experienced professionals. But then you fast forward to January, and we're now sat here with this situation where a 19-year-old is going to be signing, a 19-year-old left back is going to be signing quite soon, and it feels like we've reset back to the same thing. Obviously, I don't know whether this is because there are some rumors, right, Savva, that it's because they're not sure about Frank. But that should not be an excuse. If you guys were really the best in class for what you're doing, you would have a plan of how you want the team to play, and you would have brought in the level of quality required for that team to play that way. And that's the reason why I'm really, really, really scared about this situation with Paratici leaving and Johan Lange being given the reins. Like, for a club of our stature, in terms of revenue, in terms of the number of times we've been in Europe in the last 17 years, we should have a director of football like Campos at PSG, who's directing play from a board level. We don't have that, and it doesn't seem like there is any willingness for us to get there. And I think that's where majority of people's frustration is.
But that's it, Manny. And again, I think it's it's the mature thing to do, to take a step back and say, forget what we all want. That's the frustrating thing, is that if this is the guy that they wanted to back, see, it's easy for everyone to come in and go, you wanted this manager. It doesn't matter. Spurs wanted this manager. Spurs spent £17 million to sack the old manager and bring in this manager. So with that, you've got to turn around and say, right, guys, this is the manager you wanted. Where's the backing for him? Right now, if it doesn't work and you've backed him, I'll be the first one, Manny, at the front of the queue saying, yeah, sorry, Thomas, look, this is, sorry, you've been given all your own players. This hasn't worked. See you later. But what we can't do is we can't bring in a manager, give them one transfer window where he's only had 2 first-team signings and 2 loans, and say, yeah, it's not worked. See you later. Because if we do that, and that might well be the case, what's the precedent moving forward? Are we going to say, Manny, that the next manager comes in, picks up these same players for 6 months, these same players go, well, what's going on at this club? We're still going to down tools. We don't like the style. We don't like this. And then in the summer we go, right, we're looking for another manager. Like, and this is where at some point there's going to need to be pain and stability. And I don't care if that is with Frank or someone else, but it's going to need to happen. And unfortunately, every time we lose a game, our fans throw their toys out the pram on every social media site. And that's fine. I don't mind that. But are we going to have the exact same energy for the next manager that comes in?
But that's the thing. Sorry, go on.
Just quick. If this next manager comes in and we're still seeing that these players can't pass and that the football's not good and that we're being ripped open and Romero's making mistakes and Porro's arguing with fans and all, what are we going to turn in 6 months on that manager again? Or are we actually going to say, well, no, hang on, we need at some point to sit in, take the kicking a little bit and build? Because at the moment we are turning into the Premier League Watford.
Yeah, we are. But Savva, just on the point that you've mentioned, right? So I fully agree. Even from our side, which is, when I say our side, I mean people who might think, you know what, Thomas Frank has to go, right? If he is backed and he does turn things around, then on our side, people can then say, oh, you know what, I hold my hands up. I wanted this guy out. He actually has turned it around. But you need to give him the tools to be able to do that. Being on on the 12th of Jan and not being in a situation where he's now got Bentancur who's gone. And this is the same thing I used to say with Andre. Bentancur who's now injured, Kudus who's now injured, Johnson who's now been sold, Udoji who can't stay fit, Solanke who's just come back from injury, and you don't back him, then all fan bases, whether they want him out or not, are going to be looking at you guys thinking, what the hell is going on, right? Then you have the second part of it, right? Which is, again, it is a sad indictment for Spurs. It is a really sad indictment that you're actually right. You're absolutely right. I want the manager out, right? But I know for a fact, you sack this manager, who is going to be choosing the next manager? Do I have the confidence that they are going to, one, choose the right manager, but two, go all in and actually back the guy? And I think that is the saddest part of it all. Although at the same time, I do feel like to a certain extent, you also need to also look at it and say, okay, cool. Do you think, and again, what you think, Savva, and what I think doesn't matter.
It's irrelevant.
At the end of the day, it's irrelevant because they are going to make whatever choice they're going to make, right? Exactly. And that is the reason why we're going to be at that protest, because it's just sad. Like I keep talking to people, and I'm like, Spurs are, if we're talking about the big six, the reason why Spurs are called part of the big six is because, one, we have the level of revenue being generated within the big six, and two, if we look at the last 17 to 20 years, we've been one of those teams that have been constantly in some sort of Europe, right? To be in a situation where you, Savva, are asking for the manager to be backed, I am asking for the manager to be backed, and I'm like, it's really, really, really a sad indictment to be in this situation, regardless of whether you want the manager gone or not. To have to beg this ownership to back someone that they've brought in is really sad.
But this is when Lubo always says the micro via the macro.
Yes,
we spend so much time with these micro conversations. At the end of the day, all the while he is the manager of Tottenham Hotspur. But by the way, there's been nothing to say that he's going to get sacked. We're all saying, look, I can say, I think
there's nothing to say that.
We don't understand. But there's nothing to say that he will, right? If he is the manager, you have to back him. Like people going, I wouldn't give him a penny. But that's not how life works. He is the manager of Tottenham. We need reinforcements, whether or not Frank is sacked at the weekend, next month, next year. We need new players. We need reinforcements. All of these people saying they wouldn't give Frank a penny, right? Imagine every football club applied that fan logic to every manager. No one would buy players. I wouldn't give this manager. I wouldn't give him any money. I wouldn't. Of course, you've got to give them money, right? You've got to.
But you know, Savva, you know why they're saying that though? It's what they're saying has got nothing to do with the manager himself. It's purely because they know that this board will not, if they, you know how they act? The way they act is, oh, if I've got 100 million in my coffers to give him, okay, cool. So I've given him 50 million. And if, say, for example, it doesn't work, the next manager comes in, the way they think is, right, well, we gave 50 million to the other manager, so we're only giving 50 million to the next manager. Whilst a bigger club will be thinking, well, we gave a 50 million to that manager, it didn't work. We're going to spend another 100 anyway. And I think that's the reason why people are apprehensive to say, give this manager that money. But in the end, we need to look at the club itself. We are in a precarious position and we need to come out of it. We are 14th, and we need to find a way of coming out of that.
But this is the point, right? And there's so many childish fans that can't see past this. Forget Thomas Frank for 1 minute. We need reinforcements. It doesn't matter who the manager's name above that door is. We need reinforcements. So when people are saying, think about this for 1 second, Manny, right? This is, what is it? Cutting your nose to spite your face. Is that the saying? Right?
Yeah.
Right. We've got fans saying, don't spend any money in January Franks here. They're literally saying they want to see the same players with the same injury crisis till the end of the season. This doesn't make sense.
It's not sustainable. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I understand that.
The problem you've got right now is this. We're a club, whether we like it or not right now, we've got one left back fit, which is Ben Davies. We've got two left wingers that I don't know if either of them are actually left wingers in Odegaard and Tell that aren't Spurs level. We've right now got no right winger. We've right now got two central midfielders fit and Basuma back if you count him, right? We've got a goalkeeper that for me just isn't good enough. We've got strikers that don't score enough goals. And we're sitting here going, I wouldn't give this man another penny. This is not what, again, and then we say we want to act like a big club. Well, big clubs, right? If Man City weren't sure about Pep Guardiola, right? Do you remember this time last year, Man City were a mess. Or November, December, going into the January window, Man City were a mess, right? And people are going, he's got to leave, he's got to go. Man City went, there you go, there's 200 million, right? Because whatever happens, you're our manager. You've got to get us out of this scenario. So when we're actively asking for no money to be spent, when the next manager picks this lot up, we'll all be going, oh my God, look how much we need to do. Well, yeah, but you didn't want to buy. A big club will buy players. Right now, we would go and buy 2 to 3 players minimum in this window that are ready-made senior pros that come in, settle down the dressing room, can put in a solid 7, 8 out of 10 each week on the pitch, and that the other players around the dressing room go, that's good, they help us. You know, we want Romero and Van der Ven to look at these players coming in and go, oh yeah, Conor Gallagher, we know this boy. Yeah, he's a solid, we know what he's going to do. We're sitting there buying 19-year-old left backs from Brazil. We're linked with that young lad who plays for the Slovakian team who are in 10th place in the Slovakian league. But this
value
is
for
what
money,
we keep doing.
value for money.
Right. But then what happens is every time one of these players is signed or we're linked with, we then start going, oh, this is good for the future. Can't we see we need for now?
But that's the point. That's the point I'm making, right? That's the point I'm making is, again, regardless of which side you are in, whether you think Thomas Frank is the right guy or whether you think he should be sacked, which is what I think right now. Regardless, we need players. Regardless, we need players for whoever it is, whether it be it Thomas Frank right now, whether it be it whoever manager needs to come in. We do need the players in. And this is why, again, I keep going back to the same old stuff, which is if you are working the right way as a club, you will bring in the sort of level of players that Thomas Frank will be able to work with, or anybody else will be able to work with. And exactly. I know obviously in the situation of Semenyo is out of our reach because of the level of that he's got to, right?
Sure.
But if we are to believe what they were saying in the summer, that we did go and ask about him and then decided to not go in for him, someone like Semenyo, if you were to bring someone of the quality of Semenyo, do you think any manager would turn that down? No manager would turn that down.
Well, so the manager's going to go, I would have joined the club, but no, you just signed Semenyo. I don't really rate him.
Exactly. So to me, that is not an excuse. You know, this manager being here, whether you like him, whether you don't like him, is not an excuse for us to get our team in order. That's my issue. That's my biggest thing.
And again, and this is why I keep saying the bigger picture, create an identity.
Exactly this.
Listen, let's be brutally honest. If Spurs went out, I'll just use 3 players that, I don't like going to the ridiculous ends with these things. If Spurs in this January window, let's say Spurs bought in João Gomez from Wolves, Conor Gallagher, and you go and buy a Lookman, just for example, right? Which manager coming in is going to go, oh God, João Gomez, Lookman, Gallagher, God, these are... You don't think that they're going to look at that versus, Bergvall, Gray, Sarr, Tell, Odegaard. But we don't ever do anything sensibly. Just sensible signings. That's all I've ever asked for. I've never asked for someone like people talk about like a Matoma. People have mentioned in the chat, right?
Yeah, and
We
he,
don't.
by the way, he's dropped off in terms of form. This would be the time to go into Brighton and say,
Yeah,
you know what, I want Mitoma. How much do you want for him? But that is the sad indictment that we're in at the moment as Tottenham Hotspur. And I understand people when they're talking about what we can achieve, can't achieve. But I keep saying to people, for what we bring in, for the stadium that we've built, for the patience that the fans have had, we should not be in a situation where we are begging for signings. We shouldn't be in that situation.
Manny,
right?
we shouldn't be sitting here on the 12th of January, right? Right now, right? If you look at the games we've had, right now, if you look at the games we've had or the games we've got coming up, you would turn around and go, this is the perfect time. You've got West Ham and Burnley. You could have had a couple of first team signings in before those games that lifts the energy. Get a couple of wins against West Ham and Burnley. That gets you into the top half of the table, maybe the top 6 or 7. And you go, right, a few good players, a bit of feel-good factor, a couple of wins in a row, and we can move forward for the rest of the season. But what's actually going to happen is we've got to the 12th of January, and all these people that believed it. Listen, again, this is the question I asked. When Levy went, the question I asked was this: will we see a difference? Will we get to the January window and see that they've actually formalized a plan in the 4 months between September and January the 1st? Will we get there and see that there's a plan and we go, fair play, this is different? Well, no. People will go, we sold Johnson. Cool, I've got no problem selling Johnson, right? I've got no problem that Kinski might go to someone. I've got no problem that Tell might go or Dragushin. But where's the plan ready to go for players coming in? Because now, you bet your bottom dollar, Manny, I'll put all of my money, your money, and Alex's money together. We are now going to panic to try and replace Bentancur because he's out for 3 months. We're going to panic to replace Kudus because he's out for 3 months. All we're going to do is a couple of panic signings, and then people will blame that on Thomas Frank. And fine, you can blame. And then Frank gets sacked. We start again, and you're left with the same squad. And I'm at the stage where, and I know Alex has been there for a while. Fair play. We spoke this morning on the phone. I'm at the stage now of Alex where I just don't care. We're seeing the same repeat behavior time and time again. And the people that are getting away with it, that have always got away with it, are ENIC. And that's
I agree with that.
That's what the sacking of Frank, whether it's right or wrong, I don't care. The sacking of Frank, again, is going to make everybody happy for a few weeks, and it will take us through to the end of January, and everyone will forget that ENIC aren't actually doing their job.
Savva, to add to your point, sorry to just come and chime in straight away. Big up Manny.
Big up, bro. Big up.
Listen, right. The thing that's so fascinating about this, Manny said in his video, I watched the whole video, said that he wants an interim in. The thing that's so perfect, and this is what I say about Prodigy leaving, right? Because this rubbish about him leaving because of his girlfriend, I'm laughing about that because I'm sorry, that's a joke, right? Prodigy isn't there for a joke. He ain't here to sing Kumbaya, He's here for business, right? And the reason why he's leaving, because he don't like Thomas Frank. And I know why he doesn't like Thomas Frank as well, He didn't like him in the first place, right? So that's why he's going to Fiorentina. The best thing is about this, though, the reason why he's leaving, right, he offered an interim. You know what that interim is? Igor Tudor. And you know what they said? No.
Good.
There's your answer. No, regardless what we think about Igor Tudor, he gave them a solution, right? They said no, right? So if they go off and on Sunday,
Who is this, by the way? Who gave?
This is the problem is, Alex, can I just say, listen, whilst these are talking points, I feel like you've come in and said that all of that is verbatim I don't know how much of that is 100% true.
I
Like,
know, but I'm just putting it out there because I think what we know of Parategy though, right? If he don't like something, right, he's got scenarios, right? When you look at the other two of them, which is what I've been making a big point about this since Daniel Levy's left, about Vinay and Johan Lang, they ain't got plans, yeah? They've got this plan. The plan A with them two are, right, is which why I said that they've got all the eggs in the Thomas Frank basket is Thomas Frank. That is all they're thinking about right now, right? That's why I'm worried if we do sack the manager, they've got not a clue what they want to do. They've got
no,
not a
sure.
clue.
Alex, I completely agree with you. And again, but look, I always say, like, try and take, not you, I always say, try and take a step back when looking at these things. And when I talk about the Frank situation, so many people just say, oh, you're dying on a hill. But what you've just said there, Alex, is my worry. It's not.
That's my concern as well.
Alex, you and I have had this chat. My concern isn't for Thomas Frank. Thomas Frank is going to pick up about £12.5 million if he's sacked this weekend. Lucky git, right? Fair play to him, right? He's going to pick up about £12.5 million. He'll be out of this toxic environment at Spurs. Lucky bloke. Like you said there, my question is this. Vinay and Lang are going to be the ones left that we are going to entrust to replace the manager, right? Now, what they'll go and do, they'll go and buy someone. They'll go and bring someone in that appeases the fans, Alex, in the short term. They'll bring in a manager that just flies forward and attacks. There'll be no structure. There'll be no planning. They won't back him, right? They won't give the manager what he needs. But the fans will like it because they'll go, oh, this manager attacks. But if you can remove, not you, again, sorry, the royal you. If you can remove the dislike for the football style for 1 minute, what is the bigger plan here at play? Because everyone just goes, oh, it's boring to watch. Fine, but what's the bigger plan at play?
But this is why I think Parategy's looked at it and said, because he's done this at Juventus and he knows the bigger picture, right? And again, I'm not here to advocate for Parategy because you know my feelings on Parategy.
Of course,
but I know he ain't no mug. He ain't no mug.
Yep,
and when the rumors were coming out about him leaving, I was looking at him thinking, okay, there's something going on here because Parategy is no mug here, right? And I'm sorry, if he's wanting to leave, there's something going on here, right? And now we're seeing what we're seeing at the moment. And I do believe it, and I do believe in the reports because for Alex, me, Parategy, this is it. And the thing is, though, yeah, even now that the journalist, a top journalist, I think it was I forgot his name now. Used to be on We Are Tottenham TV. He's even said it in his video as well. He said all the journalists are saying, right, it's all a mess. It's all a mess at the moment. They don't know what they're doing. You know,
guys,
what I mean?
do you really think that? Obviously, we now know that Parategy is leaving. Do you guys? And this is my fear, but do you guys really think that Johan Lang is going to stay as the chief?
Well, he has to go. He has to go.
Okay.
And I would say even Vinay.
But here's the question then, Manny, right? And this is, and again, this is why everyone makes it so simplistic about the manager. But this is all of these questions behind the scenes, Manny. Let's assume they sack Lang. We'll all be happy, right? You know where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
Whose decision is it then to go and bring in who's right? So it's now Vinay's decision to go and bring in a director of football. What's his track record of doing that? What does his little black book of contacts look like? Has he got a little black book for a start? Who's he picking up the phone to? Who's he saying, like, is he picking up the phone to Paul Mitchell and going, listen, we know you were here before, come in and sort this out. We'll bring back Poch and we'll all be happy. This is why fans, for me, we're very reactive in the immediate. I don't like this. This one must go. But the one we're all screaming to go, guys, is the one right at the bottom of the pile. All of the decision makers up here are all the ones that are going to see us through the next shit show. They're all going to be the ones that see us through.
No disrespect, Savva, yeah? Daniel Levy and Parategy are more leaders than those two combined. Well, Parategy's more a leader than these two, Vanna and Johan Lang combined. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? Even Daniel Levy, you can have a go at Daniel Levy, but he's a leader. He's a leader. He knows where to go to people. Yeah, he'll go to David Pleat. He'll go to David Pleat and say, "Mate, I need some advice here. I need to go and get something right now. Yeah, I need some advice what to do. Yeah." He will know. He's the one that got Parategy in, right? Because he ain't stupid. But when I look at Vinay and Simon John was absolutely spot on. Vinay and Johan Lang are not leaders.
Yeah, but
and
Alex,
that's my concern.
The problem, for me, the problem with this is, and again, I've got no problem with Paratici going, right? I've got no problem with Frank, Paratici, Lang, Vinay. I don't care about any of them, Alex. I'm not related to them. I don't care, right? My problem is this. In one way, shape or form, Paratici has been attached to this club now for 5 years, if I'm not wrong. Roughly 5 years, right? Through scandals, good signings, bad signings. And we're still a mess. So when we're talking about at least Paratici does this, I've not seen any difference. In the 5 years that Paratici's been at this football club has been some of the worst recruitment I've seen, right?
Yeah.
Has been some of the worst.
I don't like. I agree. We've been saying the same thing, saying it for a long time, haven't we? Been saying it, but I'm just comparing it to what we've got at the moment.
But I agree with you. But do you know what? What I've noticed is a trend, Manny. I don't know if you agree. I'm noticing a trend on what happens at this football club. Yeah. So when we all talk about Frank, if Frank's doing rubbish and we don't like him, it means we should have kept Ange. One of those things doesn't necessarily mean the other.
No, it's not mutually. It's not mutually inclusive.
But we're now doing that with Lang and Paratici. Oh, Lang's crap. Paratici's again. Vinay, Levy. This is why, for me, the whole thing has to change. Like all of the old voices need to go. All of the people that have been associated with this club. This is why when I say I don't care if Romero goes. Romero's been part of this game for 4.5 years at this football club now, where he's constantly involved with the owners and attacking the fans and doing this. And all of this for me needs to go. A complete and utter reset. Now, that might mean a few years, Manny, of real shit show. That might mean...
Can I say... Sorry, go on.
Oh, go.
Can I say something on the bit about Paratici, right? This is where I agree with Alex to a certain extent in the fact that Paratici, this was the chance for this ownership or the Lewis family, whatever you want to call them, to have appointed Paratici and seeing what he could have done. Because he is not a mug, as Alex said, because you can't be a mug by being the sole director of football at Juventus. And I agree with people when people say, listen, his track record was not that good. But what is to say that he was not being hamstrung by the hierarchy? And I think that's where I feel a bit conflicted with regards to Paratici. And I feel like I wonder what Paratici could do with a proper ownership ahead of him who don't give him restrictions on building a team. I think that's the bit. But I think we are where we are. He's going to Fiorentina. Fiorentina is a legacy Italian team who are not doing well. And we're now currently stuck with Johan Lang. And I will echo exactly what Box Office said. And I don't agree with Alex on a lot of things. And I feel quite confused. The fact that I'm agreeing with majority of everything he's saying today is the fact that surely, even from a director of football side, that they rip that band-aid and actually bring in someone who's capable of leading a club the size of Spurs.
Yeah,
that's what I'm. But best believe it, deep inside, I'm thinking these lot are gonna go with Lange. That's what I'm starting to think.
The funny thing, right, is and what I've noticed is when I see the YouTubers now that have actually put all the point scoring aside and the stupid videos about each other, and you said this and you said this, you're in the mud. When you strip all that back, most people are actually on the same page in one way or another, right? Most people are now starting to get to the point where it doesn't matter really who the manager is or the director of football, the club as a whole is a mess. Now, there are those people, Manny, this happens in all walks of life. There are those people that can't separate the manager from the bigger picture, right? So they might get their wish, and the manager goes, they'll get their wish. But it won't change the bigger picture until that is changed upstairs, until Tottenham Hotspur get that one guy in, one guy, not 2, not 15, until we get that one guy where we go, here's the keys to the Tottenham castle, right? Here's your budget. You are in charge of picking directors of football, scouts. You are in charge of picking the managers. You hire and fire, not me, the CEO. You hire them, you fire them, right? Until we get that person that's got the contacts across world football, that's got really good relationships with football agents and football intermediaries, this club isn't going anywhere. So we can all sit here and pretend that if we sack Frank, all right, we might go 2 or 3 places up the table and we might play a little bit prettier football. But realistically, what does it change in the long term? What it does, it scratches an itch, right? This is the equivalent of, I need surgery badly, right? I need knee surgery. Do you know what I'll do? I'll just keep putting some ice packs on it every day to ease the pain, until one day I'm going to wake up and go, I can't do this anymore. Book me in that surgery. Start again. Sort my knee out once and for all. But we are so set on, oh, this season's a write-off. People keep saying this season's a write-off, like we win trophies every year. Like people are talking like we're Man City. Oh, this season we've got nothing to play for. Sorry, what do we have to play for most seasons? Like, we've won 1 trophy in 17 years, and I'm seeing, oh, is the season written off? Sorry, what do you mean is the season written off? We're Spurs. We're not Man City. So as I've said, I don't think anything changes unless something changes. And I know that sounds really basic, but
but you're spot on. It won't. Can I also be just quickly super clear, because obviously you've got Sir Danny Kyriakou's in the chat calling me a flip-flop. Let me be fully clear where I stand with regards to this. I personally think that this manager, if we're talking about micro and macro, from a micro perspective, what I think about this manager is that unfortunately he's not the right fit for us. That's my personal perspective, right? I'm not forcing anyone to think the same way. I think these players should provide something more than what they're showing now. That does not mean that you cannot also think that, oh, well, from a micro perspective, yes, I don't think the manager is good enough. Sure. But from a macro perspective, if you bring in another manager, which I am advocating for, they will do well for whatever reason on a certain basis, but they're not going to get us that top 3 challenging whatever it is that we are looking for, which is why I'm also looking at the macro perspective. That's the first thing. The second thing is, yes, with regards to Frank and what he's doing, it has nothing to do with Ange, right? In a sense of, Ange was here, I didn't want him to go. They sacked him for reasons that I can understand, because of the number of losses that he had, etc., etc., etc. Me wanting Frank to leave, that has got nothing to do with wanting Ange back, because that ship has sailed, right? Yeah. That's the second point.
But that's all we talk about. That's all we talk about is Ange.
And I just want to literally, I just want to make sure. So sorry, I've just seen someone say to me that I must be a boss because of the my attire. Trust me, if I was a boss, I would be very, very happy. I'm not the boss anywhere. I'm nowhere near the boss, unfortunately. But that's by the by. The third point I want to make, Savva, is the point that you've made about giving the keys to someone. That is spot on, because if you look at Liverpool, and I know Liverpool are not doing great at the moment, but they gave the keys to that Michael Edwards or whatever he was and said to him, you dictate where you want the club to go, right? PSG gave the keys to Campos and said, you dictate where you want the club to go. City, before that, Chicky, whatever his name was,
Chicky Beckenstein.
Yeah, that's it. They gave him the keys and said, "You direct where you want the club to go." We at the moment keep it's as if we give people the key but don't want to give them the key. Like, you be there, but don't be there. You bring in the manager, but we might not really bring in the manager. You know, we will back the manager as long as it's not age 30 or age this or age that. That is really, really a really, really good point, is that no one seems to have the level of autonomy required to steer this club in the direction that they should go. I mean, maybe Vinay is the guy to do that. But again, Vinay is the CEO. He's not the director of football. He hasn't, you know, he's not giving the director. I don't think he gives the director of football autonomy. So I just want to be 100% clear on where I am, because I don't want people to misconstrue what I say behind closed doors and what I'm saying on here, because it's the same. I am old enough and intelligent enough. I'm not patting myself on the back, but intelligent enough to understand that the manager, me thinking the manager is X, is not necessarily mean that I don't think the hierarchy is Y. That's not
Right.
how, you know, if you want to have
But
a
Manny,
lots of
people can't have
grown-up conversation.
Lots of people can't have two conversations at once. And the key thing that you said there for me is the micro, in terms of you wanting Frank out. I completely get the macro of nothing going to change. But that's the vicious circle, isn't it? If the macro doesn't change, then the micro is going to change, and then the macro doesn't, and then the micro is going to go again. The micro is going to go again. The micro is going to, and that's fine. I've got no problem with that. But then, if that is what we're happy with, let's just stop worrying about transfer windows. Let's stop worrying about trying to be a big club if we don't want to act like a big club.
Yeah, spot on.
And I don't know. I'm just so, I just feel numb. I feel numb to it that we're just going to make the same mistakes over and over again. And I truly believe that when Spurs appoint their next interim manager or their next manager, if it's still under this same ownership with Vinay, with Lang, what's changing? Like, everyone's pretending. If Poch comes back, we're pretending that it's all going to be different. Is Lang going to work with Poch? Can Vinay work with Poch? Like, so that one signing for me, the key signing at this football club, isn't a player. It isn't a manager, right? It is that director of football, or whatever sporting director, whatever name you want to give. That man is the man that's going to change Tottenham Hotspur. But who's going to hire that man that they give the keys to? Who's going to do it? Is Vinay? Is Charrington? Are the Lewis kids? Who is that? Who is going to change that? Because at the moment, we are Watford. I said it again. We're turning into Watford. We're going to get rid of managers every 6 months. Nothing's changing. I just don't. I don't know. It just feels a massive mess. Look at these people, Lubo. And by the way, I'm ending bang on past to send everyone over for Sean and Billy T. So welcome, James. How are you?
Yeah, mate, I'm really well, thank you. Barring football, but I want to sound this myth, the man, the legend that they called Fabio Paratici. I think that he is the worst guy we've ever hired at this football club, by far. By far. People talk to me about the only good I hear about is what he's done for the youth. Fantastic. I'm happy for it. I want the youth to be better. I'm so glad of it. Then the next thing that they say is everybody that he's bought has gone up in value, and then they'll tell you Papi Sarr, blah 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 blah. But what they are doing is they're forgetting the Valises that he bought, the Brian Hills, the Emerson Royales. To be honest, I would go to far as to say it's. I mean, me, Danny. I think Danny was on the show. Was on Danny's show, and we went through it. I think he made 4 signings that are actually any good. He's made 35 signings since being here, and I think he successfully bought in 4. And they are like the arguments of Romero, where people are saying, "Is he or isn't he what we need?"
He hasn't brought in half that, James.
But James,
let me say my point. Let me say my point. You can all have a bit after. For me, people are classing him as the Don. When if we actually look at the black and white, Lang brought in Madison, Kudos, Xavi, Van der Ven. And I don't rate Lange either, by the way. I think Lange is absolutely awful. But how are we lauding this guy to be, let's give him more money? Oh, hold on a minute. Every time this guy has spent money, it's been on worse players than we've got now. Let's like half of the players we got rid of, he signed. His best signings for me, argue top three are Romero, Bentancur, Kulu. I think people are having short-term memory loss on Kulu because when he was playing, everybody wanted him gone. Everybody's now saying how bad Bentancur is in the 8 with Polinia. So and people are now questioning Romero. So for me, people lauding this guy. I don't think for the first team we've actually had a worse director of football in. Do we? Have we actually had a worse guy that has brought in worse players than Fabio Paratici?
But James, you're making assumptions though, isn't it? Because he was banned and he was working in the background with us on site.
Before that. So I'm going by the facts are before he was banned and after he was banned.
Yeah, but James, what I'm saying is, right, and by the way, I
don't like Paratici, but I think the point we're making is that Paratici knows about when things are looking good for a big club, right? Let's be honest here. Johan Land didn't get in Maddison and all these players. They got persuaded because of Postecoglou. That was the reason. Because he struggled to even get Matty telling.
Well, Ange didn't sign Xavi. Kudos. What are you on about?
No, yeah. But the point I'm making is though, right? Again, I don't like. I've criticised Paratici all I want, but it's the symbol of the whole thing, right? If Paratici thought that something was going on good at Tottenham right now, he'd still be at Tottenham Hotspur right now, right?
Yeah, but I think there could be some good going at Tottenham. But do they want to hire me as their sporting director?
No,
because I ain't got a clue what I'm doing either.
But doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. This guy, and let's be honest here, Johan Lang got let go of by Aston Villa, right? Got let go of Aston Villa. Look how Aston Villa are doing at the moment, right?
And what's that got to do with anything? Because there's loads of people that have been let go of clubs or stuff.
So the point I'm making
is, Alex, aren't we doing the thing that I just said to Manny though? We keep doing this.
I think but it's not about.
We don't like Frank. Let's pine for.
But let me just try and make sure.
Hang on, Alex. Can I finish? Hang on. Can I finish my sentence? Right.
Yeah.
We don't like Paratici. We don't like Lang.
No, but that's not
Paratici. We don't like Vinay. Let's reminisce on Levy.
But Savva, can you let me finish? I wasn't making that point. I wasn't making that point though. Making that point. I'm not pointing it towards the other who's better. All I'm saying is that they all came together and said you're co-directors, Johan Lang and Paratici, right? And they said you got to work together, right?
That's got nothing to do with what I've just said.
Yeah, but after a few months, but you weren't listening to us at the beginning, James. You were going on about how bad he was, right?
No, I was making a few stats of what he said. Now you're talking about working together. You're talking above them.
No.
I'm talking about Paratici and Lang.
You don't even let me finish. You don't even let me finish.
Alex, calm down.
No, I'm calm down, but he's not even let me finish. My point is though, yeah.
Stop.
No,
Alex,
let me finish.
Alex, I'm going to mute you if you don't stop. Stop.
Yeah, but you're not letting me finish. Let me finish.
Alex, stop. I don't want my channel to be this, guys. Stop. I don't want my channel to be this stupid. Everyone's shouting at each other. Stop right now. Right? I don't want my channel to be this nonsense. Please stop. Alex, continue, but please stop. Just calm down and have a conversation. Stop cutting each other off. Alex, I'm going to bring you back. Just stop. Just Alex,
he finished? No. Because the thing is, like, oh gosh, now I've even done that now. Right? Okay. No, I'm calm, but I get annoyed. I get annoyed when people. No, don't say that, Savva. Right? Because I'm not a child. My point is, though, yeah.
Alex,
right?
I'm doing it. I'm doing it again.
Alex,
literally.
Just calm down, man. Just stop. Yeah. Just take a breath.
Yeah, let's take a breath. Danny has come on all the way to come and argue with me.
Let me finish. Because you don't like it when people do that to you. I'm doing it to me. I'm getting to a point when I'm trying to explain myself. Let me explain myself. Can I just explain myself? I'm going to do it again.
Alex,
right, I'm going to make this very clear. Right? One, I can't have all this shouting and noise because there are other people in my house working. Right? Two, I do not want all the shouty nonsense. It's like children. I've been part of that. I don't want that to be it moving forward. So when I say please stop and Alex is just going over me, no, you don't. Just calm down. have the conversation. You talking, and James can rebuttal you, please. That's all I'm
Yeah, but
asking. Please.
what I'm trying to say
Please.
is, what I'm trying to say is, right? Because I don't think anybody understands me. I'm not trying to shout. I'm just getting annoyed. But my point was at the beginning, right, was the symbol of the whole thing with strategy. That's the thing. James is coming in a different direction. He was talking about how bad he was. I agree with you. That's not the point I was saying at the end of the day. My point is that for me, strategy, if he wanted to stay at top, right, he would have said, "Oh, yes, this is good." He's looking at him thinking, "I don't believe in this at the moment." That's why I put up the whole thing about him saying, "I want to sack the manager. I want to sack this manager and get an interim in, and this is the guy I want." They said no. That's what I'm trying to say. So I don't like Johan Lang. I don't like all of them. I want to get rid of them, all of them gone. Right, but I think the whole point I think the whole point's been misconstrued because everyone's saying, "Well, you didn't say this, you didn't say that, you didn't say this, you didn't say that." No, I'm looking at what's happening right now. Right, the top of the tree at the moment is an absolute mess at the moment, and that's been a problem for a very, very long time. Now, if you want a club that is going to going forward right now, you need either one of them needs to be stable. And at the moment, both of them are not stable at the moment. And that is what's concerning me at the moment. West Ham, who won a Conference League a couple of years ago, were so supposedly moving forward. We're now looking like that team, West Ham, right now, right? And it's going into next season. We could be in the same position they're in right now, right? And that's what's concerning me at the moment because. Okay. That's what I'm trying to say.
Can
anyway.
I just say one thing to just on top of what Alex said? Sorry, James. Just one thing. The point you're making. I don't think any of us here, right, are saying that Paratici is the Messiah. But one thing that we need to remember is that if we, majority of us over the years, and Lubo can probably say a bit more on that one than I do, but over the years, if people are saying that Levy has been the problem and ENIC has been the problem, and they're not being, letting off the shackles and investing properly, what is to say that Paratici was not given a remit to say, well, brought in a player and then them saying, "Oh, actually no, we don't want to pay that money for his wages, or we don't want to pay that money for X or for Y," for which reason he then had to pivot and bring in someone who's below par. We don't know any of these things, beneath. But
we do though. We do though, because there's proofs in the pudding, right? Okay. So the only way you'd know that is by the players that he signs, the money he puts them on, and the money he pays. How much was Richarlison? So he is spending big money on the worst striker I may have ever seen at Tottenham Hotspur. Well, let's sort of go around. If we're going to kind of say what we're going to say and kind of call it out for what it is, on Alex's point there, he kind of went on and said, but if he saw something happening here, he would have stayed rather than leaving. Yeah, I think that's what you were saying. Is that what you said, Alex?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, so let's say that Tell is a very good football player. He can see what's going on. He can see we're not going nowhere and he wants to leave. So if we're going to kind of categorize that in a massive kind of pit here, you could say the same for the likes of Tell and so on, that see that we're not going anywhere and they want to leave. We're hearing Richarlison wants to leave. Why is that? Because he doesn't think we're going anywhere? For me, I think that Paratici, I think we're actually really lucky that he wants to go. I think that this man has made some of the worst signings that we've seen in our history for big money. And that's not to talk about some of the ones that people are forgetting. I mean, Eric Lamela and Brian for Brian Hill, and what was it, maybe 30 million? I think it was on your show, Dan. Correct me if I'm wrong. That we actually went through these signings, wasn't it? And there was 35 signings that we kind of put down to under him, give or take. And we said, correct me again if I'm wrong, 5 maybe were good.
You were right. We basically went through all of them, and out of all of them, there was 1 or 2 that wasn't necessarily his one, but out of all of them, only about 4 or 5 have actually come out to, you could say, anything good, and that was where I had to put my hands up and say you were right.
This is sorry. And what Connor is saying in the chat is exactly what I was going to say after, by the way, because you look at Richarlison and you say that's 60 million, right? So he spent big money, but then Richarlison came in on what, 80 grand a week. So you could have what is to say that he didn't go to Levy or ENIC or whoever and said, right, listen, I've brought this guy, this is the guy that can take us forward. But then they said, what 160, 170 million thousand a week on wages? Absolutely not. Bring me someone in on the same amount who we can pay 80,000 a week. Like I think, and I'm not defending him, by the way. All I'm saying is that there is a lot underneath the surface that we don't know about, and then we just label people and say, "Oh, he is the worst guy." Well, he was at Juventus and rebuilt that club. To just say he is the worst guy when the person they're also working under the parameters of ENIC is a.
But what you're saying, I agree. But shouldn't what? Can I just say one more thing, Savva? Then I'll end that. So I would say, okay. So say for example, I offered to install a certain boiler and it's XYZ price, and they come back to me and said, unfortunately, mate, I've only got this value. Do I then just go into the shop and go, right, what's the cheapest, crappiest thing you've got? I'll buy it. That's all they want. No, I use my experience and my knowledge, and I say, you know what? They can't afford the best. I'll go and now look the one down. Right, let's have a look in that field and actually do a bit of scouting and go on and find the right player. I'm sorry, Richarlison's not even worth 80 grand a week. He's rubbish. Everyone slates him week in, week out. So surely, as a director of football, he comes back and says, right, this is our budget. Right, no, we're not going to pay 60 million and 80, whatever it is a week for Richarlison's and so on. We actually need to go and scout. And there are plenty of players that do come in for a lot less money.
Well,
I think that's never, and I'm keen to bring in Danny and Lubo as well. They haven't spoken, but I think the key point for me is, look, I'm not really bothered either way about Paratici. I think he's done some decent signings. I think he's done some really poor. I think most of them have been poor, if I'm honest. The worries I have with Paratici is it feels like outside of Italy, he doesn't seem to really. I don't know whether it's the contacts or doesn't know those markets, but we under him, we've not really gone out to Spain, to Germany, to France, and found some really good players. And there's players everywhere. There's players Belgium. There's players all over. But the worrying, when we're talking about the salaries, where I disagree with this is you look at players like Manu Kone signing for Roma for like 80 grand a week. It was like 30 million euros. So those sorts of footballers are out there on decent wages.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Fees. But for me, it always feels like it feels lazy. It felt to me that when we bought Brennan Johnson from Forest, it felt like a lazy. It was there. It was easy to do. Lazy. Richarlison felt Everton are in trouble financially. Lazy, right? So I think that. Listen, whatever we think of Lang, whatever we think of Paratici, between them, they've built this squad, which I all think we can agree is not good enough. Between them, they have built this entire squad, right?
But Savva, the point I was trying to make in the end, when I came on earlier, the point I made it because I think it's been laboured because everyone's having a go at Paratici, which again I've been saying Paratici. I don't like Paratici, but I don't like Lang. I don't like any of them. I've made my point so many times about Paratici as well. But the point I've made is it's not good at the top. That's it. Simple. Look, I didn't come here to start going on about other people's records and stuff like that. I think that's what it's been laboured.
The point I was going to make, and Lugo, I'll bring you in here. The point I was going to make was this: is that we're doing this thing again where we're constantly arguing average v average. We constantly do this. We do this with who should start on the left. Is it Tell or is it Odegaard? I mean, who cares? They're both average. Should it be Lang or should it be Paratici? Who cares? Should it be Richie or should it be Solanke? We've driven ourselves to this point now where the standards are so low that we're actually arguing about lots of people that clearly aren't good enough. So, Luba, my question to you is, doesn't this mean that the way Paratici's going, yeah, it all stinks and the timing and whatever, but in general, this should be another opportunity. If you had the right man at the top, i.e. Vinay, if you had the right man at the top, this is another opportunity for Spurs to go, right, how can we implement something at the football club? The director of football go in, this is our chance to go out and go, right, Paul Mitchell, come and have the keys to the castle. Ranić, come and have the keys. Isn't that the point, Lubo, that we can now change that? This is the time.
Well, yes, it is. Can I just very quick, before I come back on that, James just made a list of all the players that were signed by Paratici before his ban. And this includes loans, because if someone comes in on loan that gets signed afterwards, Paratici is the guy that's instigated the player to come to join Spurs. Romero, Galini, Kulusevski were loans. Full transfers on that 21-22 season were Brian Hill, Sarr, Emerson, Charlie Sayers, who came from Southend, came and went very quickly, Bentancur. The following season, 22-23, was Richie, Romero, Basuma, Udogi, that was obviously went back out on loan, Spence, Perisic was on a free, Forster was a free, Porro came in on a loan, Longley, and before Ange, he brought in Vicario.
Mm-hmm.
I think I think going through the team that won in Bilbao, I think I read that 10 out of 10 players were Perisic signings.
Okay.
Bilbao.
That's
But that doesn't
for
mean
that
they're
game.
good.
By the way,
And I
hang on,
totally agree with that.
I'm finished yet, Dan, but happy birthday, mate.
Yeah,
Cheers,
I was
mate.
gonna say, happy
Appreciate
birthday,
it.
man.
35 again, eh? How's it feel?
Oh, yes. It's my free coffee day today. I can click my fingers and get a coffee. I don't have to shout.
Coming Vuskovic, I'm not sure whether he came in before Ange in July or whether that's that loan, him coming in and arranged to go back on loan was before or after. So I've left him in the middle. As far as Lange is concerned, Johnson, Maddison, question on Van der Ven, because I've been told that was Perisic, Dragusin, Veliz, Phillips, Solomon.
You can't. One second. You can't pick and choose then because you was told it was on Van der Ven was on someone else. If you're judging by the cut-off date, then the cut-off date is the cut-off date. You can't then go,
let's leave it with Van der Ven because he came in after Ange joined and Perisic went. So you got Johnson, Maddison, Van der Ven, Dragusin, Veliz, Phillips, Solomon, Werner, twice.
But this is
And then
exactly
the
what
following
Savva said we were doing.
Sorry, the following season you've got Solanke, Gray, Odebear, Bergvall, Kinski, Tell, Yang, all kids, and Danso.
Well, this is
You're just
exactly
naming
what
a
Savva
lot of
just said.
average footballers here. Like, I don't know what.
So for me,
but for me though, personally,
Well,
for me, I actually think Lange's players are better than Paratici's there.
Well, why are we comparing? Why are we comparing the both? Why are we comparing the both?
Because my point was everybody is like Lord Paratici, Lange is terrible. When if you're actually looking at the facts and the stats of who he actually signed, there's no comparison. Lange has brought in far better players than Paratici. Paratici's best centre back is Romero. Lange's Van der Ven's.
They're both just
Alex,
shit,
man,
right?
you cry when no one can talk, and you talk about everybody.
So, James, stop it. Act like a baby, please. Don't act like a baby, please.
I'm not doing it. I'm not doing that. Stop. I'm not doing it. I'm not
Alex,
doing it. Stop. I'm not
We've only
doing
got 2
that.
minutes. So I came on just to say Manny's a flip flop, and he just talks rubbish. He just waffles all the time. Like what Manny was saying today early on the stream, and what he was saying to me in one of the WhatsApp chats. Unbelievable flip flop. Unbelievable.
You can ask Savva very quickly.
Manny, you were saying in the chats, right, that you think that these players should be doing better than what they are doing.
Correct.
And my question is, why do you think that?
No, sorry. So just to make sure Savva gets this. Savva, did I say anything different to that when I came onto the show?
You said I heard you on the show. You said that
right.
you said it'll be bad to sack Frank right now. Didn't you
No,
say that?
I didn't say that. Didn't say that at all.
You did earlier on in the show.
No, ask Savva.
When Savva was asking, you said it'll be a bad decision if the club sack manager now.
No, not at all. I mean, Savva is right there. You can ask him. This is not a complicated thing. I literally said Savva was saying to me that the micro versus the macro, and I fully agreed with that because, in my opinion, this manager is not getting enough out of the players that he has. And I'm not talking about the attacking. I'm purely talking about one, the intent when he brings the players out, and two, even passing ourselves out of a press. I do not believe these players are as bad as we are showing right now, which is why I want the manager out. However, Savva rightly pointed out, right, that we keep having arguments over micro and macro of this club.
What's the point?
The macro of this club, which I best believe, I know that you've said this before, right? The macro of this club is the fact that the ownership is not giving the people that they hire enough to do what we as fans want them to do, because we want to challenge. That is the point. So those are two separate things. So if you
you just said there, we want to challenge, right?
right,
So in what universe? Why I believe the players are playing at the maximum they can play at is because for the last 2.5 years, statistically, they have shown me that they cannot play at that level. In a
But that's
one-off
just waffle.
game, it's not. It's
It
the
is.
fact there, mate. Savva, what was the average league? Lubo and Savva, right? You've done the statistics as well. The average league position of Spurs in the last 2.5 years, in the last what,
15th.
90 games, is 15th.
15.
So how can you sit there, Manny, and say the players should be doing better than what we're doing? When
I can tell you.
Over the last 90 Premier League games, we have lost more than we have won and drawn combined, right?
I can tell you
You're
why.
going to sit there and tell me that the players are expected to play better, right, when they are used to losing more in the last 2.5 years. Tell me how that's possible in two different
tell you why.
managers, 2 different philosophies, and 2 different styles.
I can tell you why, because if you are tunnel visioned, right, and just look at football from a losing winning perspective, then your argument will stack up. But that's not football. Football doesn't work like that. If I am seeing Bentancur having progressive passing per 90 in every single year that he has been since at Juventus and with us, and then that drops in that season that he is with Frank, then 100% I'm going to tell you that no, these players. No, can I finish? Because I let you finish for your monologue, right? Then 100% I'm going to tell you that these players are better than what they are. My encounter with Savva, the first time I literally got on Savva's show to speak to Savva about anything, I had never been on YouTube, was the second season of Ange in the first 12 games. And I was trying to explain to Savva the reason why I thought that there was a change with this manager. And that was because in every single metric, underlying metric, if you're watching football more than that's wonderful.
I'm not surprised by that.
Go on, Manny.
That's wonderful. But from every underlying metric that we looked at the start of that season, even though we had lost 5 games of those 12 or 6 games of those 12, even from a defensive perspective, expected goals conceded, expected goals scored, progressive passing, everything, we were top 4, top 5 at that time before the players went in and got injured. So if you are trying to say to me, and this is what we've been arguing about over and over and over again, and again, I have to be clear, we've been arguing over the micro, right? If you're trying to say to me that what I am seeing with my eyes with these players is exactly how and where these players should be, I'm sorry, but we can argue all night long, like a couple. It's not going to happen. If you are then telling me, oh, but Manny, listen, with regards to these managers, they will never be able to succeed with these ownership, and we switch it to the macro, 100%. I can fully agree with you with regards to that. But you can't tell me that these players are as bad as what I'm seeing now. I'm sorry, no matter. And bear in mind that you guys have been telling me that I was crap. He was, from a defensive point of view. He was.
Manny.
Hold on, Dan, let me come back, because it's just between. I just want to have this conversation with Manny quickly, right? So Manny, you're saying what you've just said, right? Would make sense, right? In terms of, you're talking about we should be doing better. The whole conversation is we should be doing better than where we are, right? The reason why I don't believe that is because you said from the first 12 games of Ange, is that what you just said? First 12 games, Ange, we had better attacking stats.
No, I was talking about the second season, mate. Sorry, I'm just being summoned by my boss. But go on.
If you need to go, Manny, we have this debate again. If you need to go, it's not a problem.
Yeah, so sorry, man. I'm so sorry. I'll have to. Yeah, we'll have to have this again. I'm so sorry.
I mean, you
Alright.
shouldn't be
Don't worry,
doing this
there'll
at
be-
work
there'll be
anyway.
more
I
shows.
should. I know. I
Yeah.
should. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm so sorry, Savva.
When Savva has a panel show again, we'll have this
Please,
discussion.
please bring me back in. I'm so sorry. I've got to jump. Sorry, guys.
No worries.
Manny,
Take care of
thanks,
yourself,
mate.
fella.
Manny.
Appreciate
See you
it,
later, mate.
guys.
Look.
Can we just before we carry on though, the problem is, aren't we doing the same thing every day?
Mhm.
Like we're arguing about, which manager's done this with which players. We're arguing about average league positions. We're arguing about number of defeats. We're arguing about which average director of football bought in which players. We keep doing this, but surely we all can agree on the bigger problem. The club is a mess. And I've said today, I think Frank will get sacked if we don't beat West Ham. I've got no doubt in my mind that will happen. But just remember, everybody that wants him sacked, we are now backing on Vinay, Paratici and Lang to make the next manager appointment, right? So when that next manager comes in, if it's somebody that people don't like, we can't complain because we know their track record. We know they're not going to back the manager. So we're going round and round and round and round, and all the point scoring of you said this, you said that. What does it matter? Like, really, what does it matter? He was 12 million. Paratici bought in this player. Let's be fair. Paratici and Lang, between them, put this shit squad together. Whoever you want to sit on the side of, and I don't rate either of them. Paratici bought in a lot of players where I went, what are you doing, mate? Lang, absolutely the same. All of these players have been bought in. And again, the one thing we don't seem to take into account, we always do this. Go, that player's good, sure, but what was he bought in mind with? Oh, it doesn't matter. He's good. Well, no, it does matter. What was the plan behind that player joining the club? Did he suit the manager at the time? Well, we'll never know.
Formation.
That manager gets sacked. This new manager comes in with a different way of playing. The new manager who's about to come in, let's just assume Frank is sacked this weekend, just hypothetically. The new manager's coming in. He's picking up the players from 7 different managers. The new manager's going to come in and pick up the players from 7 different managers. Fans are going to get on his back immediately and be like, go on, make us play better football. The same players will throw their toys out the pram when things start going wrong. The players will be calling out the board. The board will be calling out the fans. The fans will get on the manager's back. And we're back here in 6 months, all because Frank doesn't pass the ball forward enough. Until we see that the issue is up there, nothing's going to change. Nothing. So that's just where I am. And I'm being calm about it. I just don't see where it's going to change.
The problem as a whole, I think, I've done a show on it. Sort of step back and just look at everything. I do try and see things both sides. I think everybody has a fair opinion on what they're arguing with or what they debate for, whatever else. Some a bit more wild than others, but that's all of us. But I think it's like most of us, we all focus on a certain point that you notice more than the other person as such, whereas the other person notice and think that side's more of a problem than maybe what you see as a problem or whatever. If we want to just be totally honest with ourselves, I've done a show on it the other day. This club is rotten to the core, in my opinion. Levy, I think it is now proof, was not the problem. He was just one of the problems, but he wasn't the problem. At least when we had Levy, you could look there and you knew what you was getting. You knew you had someone who could run a business anyway. You knew there would be players coming in, usually, whether they're good or bad. It was click your fingers, like have a guess, whatever. But you sort of knew where we stood and where we was going as such. Now we look at it, I think club looks even worse. And we haven't got a clue where we stand. We don't even know if we're going to buy someone in the last minute. Whereas with Levy, you could sit there and say, do you know what? I'll stick 20 quid on it that we'll buy someone on the last bloody day of the season and laugh about it. Now you'd sit here and can I ask any one of you, are you sure we'd buy someone on the last day of the season? You don't actually know.
No, because we don't know who's running the club, Dan.
Exactly. That is what I'm saying. So now that Levy's gone, it's now showing that Levy was not the problem at the club. He was just one of the many problems.
Yeah, a problem. Yeah. And
yeah.
Dan,
whereas so many looks on it as he was the problem. For me, last bit I'll say on this, Savva, for me, the problem is the club. Full stop. From the players, from the manager, to the owners. I think the fans, have been a problem over the years where they haven't done enough to support the club and try and get what they want out of the club and that when things could have been done. I think the whole club is an absolute...
It's rotten.
I'll say
look,
rotten to the core.
I do need to... I really need to wrap up, and I've got to do some super chats as well because I've got to go out. I've got something personal I need to do. Look, all I'll say is this. I saw a really good post last night, and the person turned around and he said, it's so funny how a guy that's been here 6 months is taking all the heat as opposed to the owners that have been here 25 years and Paratici and Lang that have been here for 5 years between them. But all the heat has gone on to Thomas Frank. And I think when you look at it like that, it's actually quite telling. Just Stanley. Right. So listen, I'm going to do some super chats. We can always go live again later. But look, guys, all I know is this. Managers will come and go. Players will come and go. Until we sort this out up here, nothing's changing. And it will make everybody in this day and age where everyone needs instant gratification, sacking Frank is going to make everyone feel better for a few weeks until they realise that the new manager search is an absolute shit show. Until they realise that we're bringing in somebody that isn't a winner, because what winner is going to join Tottenham Hotspur at the moment with these owners and this director of football, right? So we've got to be very careful what we wish for right now. Be very careful. And people are going, the players aren't playing for him. Well, who have the players played for the last 2.5 years where they're losing week in, week out?
The last 6 years, Savva.
Right? It's the last 6 years, exactly. The players aren't playing for him. The players aren't happy. All I'm hearing is the players aren't happy with his style of play. But hang on, we were meant to be attacking under Ange and the players weren't happy then either. So what point are we all going to get there and go, a master reset? Anyway, let me do these super chats, then we're going to end. Aussie Coys, big up to you. Thank you very much for the super stick. I really appreciate you, Aussie Coys. Very generous indeed. The Big D said, apologies. You don't have anything to apologise for, mate. Just a build up of frustration I have towards the club, manager and players. I appreciate it. Mate, you didn't do anything wrong. You can come on and vent. Absolutely, mate. We're all frustrated. But the problem is we're all coming at it from different angles when we all know that there is one issue. There is the big issue up there. We all know that, but we're going to pretend it's not. We're going to pretend it's the micro problem again. So let's see if everyone gets what they want. Thank you very much for gifting a membership as well. Really, really do appreciate you. Thank you so much for that. Big up to D&B forever. Really appreciate you as always. You've always been very good to me. I appreciate that. Dean Law, thank you very much. Much appreciated, Dean. Very generous, you lot. Really appreciate all of you. A user has come in a few times, said replace the bakery and the baker, not the cake. Yes, yes, yes. Stop looking at there. Let's look up there. I completely agree with you. Big up to you've come in again and said, mark my words, we will lose Vuskovic, won't be back. We'll see. We'll see, right? But why would any of these players want to sign for Tottenham right now or stay at Tottenham? It's a mess. Completely shambles. You've come in again and said, not the Don, but the Gone. I don't care that Paratici's going. I don't think he's done a lot for this football club, if I'm honest. I think that everyone raves about signings like a Romero and a Dogie, and I don't really see what they've done for this football club, especially a Dogie. 2.5 years of nothing really. But hey, that's just me. Big up to what's a coming and going. So Spurs structural issue goes beyond the manager. Yes, it does. We will see, though. Big up to you. Thank you very much. The Fane said, is your podcast from Perchy still going? No, Perchy's just having a little rest from social media, and I completely get why. So, no, at the moment, it's not going on. Big up to you. Andy Lester with the super sticker. Thank you very much, Andy. Really appreciate you, buddy. I hope you are well, my man. And what's a coming and going and said, tired of Ange v Frank. Oh, my God. It's so fucking draining. It's so boring. Hope to move on from both. Was just pointing out the hypocrisy and narrative comparisons the other day. We have no ID. Completely agree with you. Completely agree. Why is any player joining Tottenham? You know, we got fans who don't think Conor Gallagher's good enough. I mean, let that sink in. We got fans that want to see Gray, Bergvall and Sarr, but wouldn't want Conor Gallagher at a football club. When that happens, just fold the whole thing. It's an absolute joke. Big up to each and every one of you. I'm sending you over to Sean's channel right now. He's got Billy T on to talk about the protest. get over there. Just say Savva Raid, FHTV Raid. Please subscribe to Danny at Hotspur Hood. Please subscribe to Lubo over at the Spurs 5. And please do subscribe to myself as well. Much love to you all. I must go out. Take care. Let's see who Spurs have signed by midnight tonight. I'm going to put my
Happy
mortgage
birthday
on.
again, Dan. Happy
Yeah,
Cheers,
happy
man.
birthday.
It's appreciated.
And guys,
Enjoy.
much love. Take care. And as always, come on, you Spurs.
Levy out.